Hello everyone, you know who this is, yet you have absolutely no idea. Of course.
Wow, somebody gonna be famous, real famous.
I sit here writing to you now with my exceptionally long penis buried deeply and warmly into my vagina butt.
Isn't that neat?
Trophy Hunter 77 has joined the game.
Call 911. This place needs to be swatted. It's obnoxious.
You have a bully cabal.
You don't find people being bullied into suicide on 4chan.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Okay, if he says any more bad words, I'm gonna hang up on him. He doesn't own Kiwi Farm, and he died less than me. A little kid named Moon owns Kiwi Farm.
How do they make this more and more epic every time?
I'm sorry, I'm a soy-filled bitch and like your videos.
Aim.
If we get Donald Trump just to tweet out, I mean, just a tweet that mentions the hashtag Gamergate, it doesn't even necessarily matter how we use it. Man, the blue check marks are going to shit their fucking pants.
It's 2019. I can't believe anybody believes in a spinning fucking ball of water.
True. I bet you when Jim finds out, he's gonna just give me so much shit.
One never knows when the homosexual is about.
I've had over 1,000 rejections in real life, 2,000 rejections online, so that's 3,000 rejections total. I aim as low as possible. I aim for obese women, ideally ugly and obese. I would do anything just for a 300-pound ugly white girl.
I said it's not even hot outside. You are not allowed to bring her to the hospital. No, you get no permission to fucking do it.
You gotta be kidding. It's just like this declaration, right, of male dominance.
Put that in your pipe.
I definitely cheated on Super Mario with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Stop doing this stuff!
He's like the blue seductress who takes me out into the night and does wonderful things to me.
Enough! Stop!
How can a Yorkshire Terrier live in the wild? It's in plain sight, but you just don't see it. You know what I mean?
Hello, everybody. I have a special guest today, but before I get into it, we don't have a plan, just in case you're wondering. I do have to give props in case you were watching the intro. I have conscripted the work of a very talented artist named Sven Stoffels. He does streams. He live streams himself, making the art, such as the one that was in that. You can find his streams at svenstoffels.com or svenstreams.com. Check him out. He also did like the George Floyd, greatest black man to ever live animation, the Hila Klein animation. He's a great guy. Definitely check him out. He did those. He's still working on them. There's more that I wanted to do. I want to do my own like mix of people that I talk about and find interesting. And he's working on that for basically nothing. So help him out. Find him where he can be found, because the internet's getting smaller, and we have to make some friends. Chat. We have to make some friends. So Jim, if you want to unmute, I have no plans for this stream, so we're just gonna have to play by ear.
Neither do I, so it should be fun to wing it.
What do you?
I mean, it's nice to be on Odyssey. I mean, it's nice to be able to stream on Odyssey, isn't it? It's great. It would suck to be banned from Odyssey. I couldn't imagine somebody being banned from Odyssey.
It's pretty fucking hard to get banned from Odyssey. You can say pretty much anything you want.
You'd have to be a massive fuck up to do that. I don't know. You know, I mean, I emailed Moloch and he's like, "Come on by." So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to go.
Is he still in Ohio? Has he gone back to LA?
Well, he changed his email. He was at Gmail, but he was like, Yahoo provides better security. So now he's routing all his demonic incantations through Yahoo. So that's how I got a hold of him. I don't know if he's in the Midwest anymore. He said he was looking out east, maybe, like I don't know, like in Georgia or something. Said something about liking the weather better.
Maybe Japan. Japan has Yahoo is still the most popular search engine in Japan.
Is it really?
Really, really. If you go to yahoo.co.jp, you'll get like a very old looking website because the Japanese are like super autistic and they don't like change. So they've stayed with Yahoo on pretty much the exact same interface for almost 20 years now because they can't handle it.
I thought Yahoo like got fucked into the dirt by that chick that took over. Wasn't there a woman that took over their company and then just fucking carpet bombed it into irrelevance?
Maybe, but you know how it is with the Japanese usually have like their own branch of the company that works pretty much independently. Like the 7-Eleven does that. 7-Eleven has like this huge presence in Japan, and it's basically independently managed over there.
No, that makes sense. So, I thought, I mean, I guess since we're winging it, you've had a busy couple weeks.
Yes, I have been nonstop working on shit for the last 3 weeks. I'm actually a little bit stressed out.
Are you a tiny bit stressed out? Yeah.
Yeah, I usually handle stress pretty well, but usually it breaks after a little bit. But this has been nonstop, and every time it looks like there's a breakthrough, there's always something else that happens that's a bit more challenging. So,
Well, I mean, I heard like to calm your nerves and stuff. People have been telling me like if you ever get too anxious or paranoid or just stressed out, you have a little Shine. Apparently, calms you right down. Takes the edge off. But I've been scared to make any in my bathtub. I don't know.
many software developers and other people in the IT field are actually large consumers of the True Shine. It's almost an epidemic in the IT field. You walk into office, an open concept office space with cubicles, and you just see that half of them are on it at the exact moment that they're working even. So it's a
See, now I have a theory about the IT field. When the pandemic hit, everybody wanted to work from home, and I know a lot of like the IT guys could do like remote work. And my thought is the reason so many people in like IT want to do remote work is if you gathered them all in one central office space, the smell of axe wounds would make everybody vomit to death and pass out. Does that sound accurate?
I've actually never worked in an office. I'm sure nowadays it is. And now that's why people are more productive when they spread out. You put them in their homes. And
Well, you
cities.
want them to spread out at home, not in the office with their legs open, because the smell of the decay would probably drop you to the floor.
Probably choke you out. That's actually their secret weapon. That's how they get what they want. They say, we're going to go sit on your furniture in your office. You'll never get it out.
It's time to talk about a raise. Let me open my legs a little bit and let's discuss my hourly rate.
Yeah, if not, I can just sit on all the upholstery and you can have fun with that shit.
So, do you want to outline? Like, I think a lot of people are familiar with obviously how it all started, right? With Keffels and everything like that. But just like your last, I don't know, week and a half of dealing with these different companies and what's gone on. Because I mean, you had redundancies in place, you had backups and stuff, but it seems like either their reach of these people was greater than anticipated, or people buckled quicker than most would expect. But it seems like you've been kind of running around trying to get stuff set up and having getting kneecapped by people left and right. I mean, do you want to talk about that, or can you?
Yeah, I can, because basically. How do I want to word this? Just as a Vegas timeline. This person Keffels, who is like the spearhead of it, it's there's so much to talk about in regards to it too, because it's almost inappropriate to say that it's Keffels, because Keffels really hasn't done anything. Keffels' biggest accomplishment has been to take credit for everything and to coordinate.
Well,
people.
yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It feels to me like they're a figurehead. You know what I mean? Or like they're the mask that other people are wearing. You get that feeling too?
There's a lot to say about that, but just for the sake of the timeline, Keffels has a spat with Destiny. They hate, I don't know what the fuck the issue is with Destiny that they have, but it's like a long-standing, like, contemptuous relationship between the two.
He didn't want to suck the trans clit, I think is what it came down to.
He does, though. I think he fucks femboys. I think that he cheats on his wife with femboys.
Here's the great debate. Now, is Destiny into fucking traps, right? Which would just be boys playing pretend and then they're guys afterwards, or is he into axe wounds? I don't think he's into axe wounds. I think he just wants a trap.
Nobody is.
Right. I think he just wants a trap.
There was God, this is a callback. But remember The Amazing Atheist?
How could I forget him pouring oil on his dick?
He did like a movie review about the human centipede. And he said, there's probably people who would want to be at the head of the centipede, and there's probably people who want to be at the bottom of the centipede. But there's probably nobody who wants to be in the middle of the centipede. Like that touches nobody's kink. I think that's the way that the post-ops are. It's like you got people who want to fuck traps, and you got people who want to fuck women. Nobody wants to fuck the acroon. That's not a thing. That does not exist, that fetish.
Right, because everybody has like this. I mean, like the video I did, how the sausage is made. Like everybody has this preconceived notion of it's like a fantasized, fetishized version, right? They really think it's like anime or something else where, some magic bullshit happens and suddenly I'm a pretty girl. But like when you see the results of the surgery, no, that's not at all what it looks like. Well, especially for the female to male ones, man, they get butchered to shit.
Oh, well, I mean, it's terrible for everybody because, like, it works both ways. With the male to females, the act of neutering actually reduces their sex drive, and since the sex drive is the cause of the autogenophilia, a lot of them immediately regret it because now they don't have the sexual urge to cross dress and to play as woman. But the female to males, they have, I went on about this in my last stream, but they have like this romanticized concept of what a homosexual relationship is. And it's men who get shit on their dick is the reality. Being a man is gross. And, when they are accepted as men and treated like other men, they're repulsed by it. Cause men, like the mental headcanon of what a gay relationship is like and what actually hanging out with men is like and dating other men is like is not what they had in mind. So it's a nightmare. We're going to be dealing with the repercussions of what we've done to thousands of kids for decades. We have really fucked up. And I guarantee you, there's like how the 70s and 60s had like those headlines of continuous serial killers who were like the streetwalker. Oh, yeah. That shit's coming back in force. We're gonna have so many fucking serial killers who are like castrated and can only get off by murdering women. That's all coming back.
Well, it's going to be even worse because they're not going to have an outlet for the rage. Usually, like there's some kind of weird sexual psycho violence thing. Like those are all components, but it's going to be pure vengeance, right? I mean, it's going to be people that are butchered, and they're going to feel like society and their parents and doctors and everybody was just okay with it, and they have no way of reversing it.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you've ever read The Industrial Society and Its Future by Dr. Theodore Kaczynski, he actually had a gender identity crisis and ended up in a gender clinic way back when, even decades ago. And he saw all the other people around him who were in the various stages of transitioning, and he thought, this is fucking disgusting. And that was one of the key factors that played in him becoming the Unabomber.
God, do you think that was far enough back that he could have run into John Money?
Maybe.
Dr. John Money, was the guy that did the experiment with the twins, where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to transition one of them," and then the kid killed himself, and then the other one killed himself.
You can find this out for certain because he actually names the clinic. There was only a couple of them, and this one was in Colorado, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I could imagine Kaczynski looking around at that and being like, "Yeah, I think I'll stick to my to mailing people letters."
Yeah. But okay, so Destiny, I don't know what the issue is with them, but they wanted to get Destiny banned from everything. Okay,
I'm sorry, I do remember this. Yeah, so I mean, essentially, it boils down to Destiny disagreed. It was he disagreed. I mean, anybody that's watched a Destiny stream knows he's not on there, screaming death to Troons and shit like that. He disagreed over something, and that's I guess was enough to send the ratio squad after his ass.
Yeah, it was. I can't even remember specifically. It was like a general disagreement about something extremely benign. It was probably the fucking HRT for kids thing, because that's the main.
I mean, right. I think we can all agree at the end of the day, Destiny. This is all Destiny's fault. The internet's falling apart. It's all Destiny's fault. Remember that, chat. It's all his fault.
When the internet collapses, we're going to be looking back at Destiny. There's going to be pictures of him all greasy with his hair like matted to his forehead and shit. And that's going to be what we teach kids.
Yep, this is a man that killed the internet.
But I made fun of Keffels for that because I'd never heard of them before. I was like, what a weirdo, like gloating about deplatforming people. Is this where we're at now? And it's like, little did I know that yes, that's like how they derive all forms of validation in their life.
Oh, that's their dopamine hit, yeah.
So months pass. There's kind of like a back and forth. The thread gets started. People find a lot more than I expected. With the Catboy Ranch shit and the porn career and the allegations of embezzling money from the Communist Party of Canada, just lots of little shit like this, and it builds up, and then eventually there is the swatting thing, and I think I have you talked about the swatting thing at all, like in depth about what's happening? Because it's been like, is it just me, or has it felt like the last 2 years everybody has gotten swatted? I can't name a single person who has not gotten swatted.
I'm convinced it's probably just a third party group doing it for laughs. In regards to like multiple communities, but yeah, no, the thing that always got me about Keffels is like Keffels, it's like, oh, I got swatted, and then their story changed 3 times. I mean, I got swatted and I got over it in 5 minutes. I don't know why they had to flee the country to fucking Ireland.
Well, I got swatted. I got detained by the police. Very similar circumstances. My friend from England wrote a bomb threat to the high school that I went to from my email server, and I got detained over this. And I was in custody for like 2 hours before they decided that it was a hoax, and they just let me go. And then there was 2 more incidents where the police showed up and they asked, "There's more emails from your server." And I eventually, after the second one, I stopped telling anybody about them, because I realized that if I told people about them, then people could write about it, and it would encourage them to continue doing it. So that I figured that shit out pretty fast. But the thing is, the difficult thing is that the people who are being swatted have a financial interest in playing victim. Like Tim Pool has been swatted 17 fucking times. If he just shut the fuck up about it, it would probably stop. But he likes to go out there and say, and it's just to say that this is not something that's like one side, the left versus the right.
Yeah, but that's what I don't get, right? Okay, from my personal experience, initial swatting happens. Sell a few hats, talk about it, whatever. But you talk to the police department, and then it's not a fucking issue afterwards. So I don't know how Tim Pool is getting swatted 17 times, right? Because you think he'd talk to the police and be like, "Hey, it's obviously bullshit. Give me a ring up, and I can prove that I'm not strapped with fucking tannerite or something." So I don't know how people are repeatedly swatted extremely over and over and over and over again. Is it just an inept police department, or are they just giving into it for a couple of bucks?
Both. I think that it definitely depends on your police department, because when I dealt with the Florida FBI versus the New York, west side of New York State FBI, the people from New York State were much more on top of things, and they understood what I was telling them in regards to people intentionally provoking them. So it probably does depend on your local law enforcement, but it also depends on how you handle it. And I think that especially in Tim Pool's cases, like if it's happening 17 times, you have to change something at some point, unless you just enjoy it, the police, and then you can say, "Oh, I've been swatted." And I think people misuse the term swatting. It's like if the police door knock to be like, "Hey, we got this call again. We have to go see your basement to make sure there's no black kids being turned into pepperoni down there."
Yeah.
You just say, "Okay, yeah, sure, here's the basement," and then they leave. And it's like the biggest crime there is the taxpayer money that went to the gasoline, right?
Right.
So yeah, people ham it up. The first time was definitely a swatting. They got detained, all that stuff. But yeah, point is that happens. And then from what I understand, after that happens, a cabal of people, from what I understand, 20 strong, contact Keffels and say, "We have a PR person, we have tech people, we have people who know like how to use a booter to bring down services, and we're going to collaborate to put together a press package, a press kit. We're going to contact all of our friends and various journalistic agencies, and we're going to push this narrative, and we're going to bring Kiwi farms down."
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, and I wish I had saved it, but there is a archive Keffels tweet where they talk about. Oh wait, I'm not on YouTube. Where Keffels talks about having press connections, and they're going to use them.
Yeah.
But I think but that's like from months ago. So it makes me feel like like this was ready to roll out, and they were waiting for an opportune target.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I've received from providers some of the documents that they're sent, and they're very professional, and they look very intimidating, and they have like markings of like NGO groups and stuff that they probably don't even have authorization to use, but it's all very well presented and very surgically directed so that it has an excellent
Something
impact.
Keffels would be familiar with surgically. Yeah. They'd be familiar. Yeah.
Direct, yeah. It's so it's more because like Vordrak, the guy from England who's given me most of the shit for years, does a lot of the same things, and the issue that he has is that he is a deranged lunatic who is completely unsympathetic, and the only people who have ever helped him were two people in the porn industry who then immediately turned on him because they're also insane. Keffels is deranged and a pervert, but not literally demented. Like Vordrak has early onset dementia in his family. He'll lose his mind by 45, and he's getting there. And you can tell just by the things he says that it's happening. So he's actually like teetering on the brink. Keffels is still young, and they're insane, but they're not like.
Has he said anything about any of this? Like, was he watching it, cheerleading it, or is he like stunned that somebody's doing it?
He's putting out fucking articles, but nobody wants to remail him. He sent me a fucking email. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, asking me if Ann Ominous, a guy with 40,000 posts on the forum, was Matthew Prince. He's lost it. He's lost it. He's lost his fucking mind, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Yeah, I didn't know, and I was kind of curious too. I wondered, like, if have you noticed? Has there been like a collective of people that have had threads that have like gone over to Team Keffels,
They
not
have
just
tried.
like cheerlead it, but like tried to like weasel their way in and be like, "Let me help."
Like Frederick Brennan had tried. Ralph tried. Not Matthew Prince, but Vordrak tried. All these people try to get in, but Keffels has like a really good team put together and doesn't want any of these people, and flat out tells them that you're not useful to me and I don't want anything to do with you.
Oh, see, it would be funny to me because a lot of these people, the ones with the threads that would try to get cozy with Keffels, have so much baggage that if she were to present them as victims of Kiwi Farms, people would be like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
These people are really fucked up. What are we really talking about here?
Yeah, that's how it would naturally die. That's how it's like when Vordrak tried to do that. That's how it died because the people that were willing to work with him were, insane. Like there's a reason why they have threads. It's not because they're great people and we're just trying to smear them. It's because they're actually fucking nuts. But Keffels has managed to keep it on message, and I think this is something that they decided together that they were going to make it entirely about trans issues. So everybody who they put out as a victim, you got Brianna Wu, you have Bob Posting, you have Anna Valens, you have Liz Fong Jones, you have the mother of that trans kid from the National Geographic cover.
I saw her tweeting, but I don't even know who the fuck she is. Like,
she's obviously an attention whore. Yeah, no. What happened is in 2016, National Geographic put out a horrific cover that said something like the gender revolution, and it was a picture of like a 9-year-old, 8-year-old boy in drag with like pink hair, and it was ghastly. It was like upsetting, stomach churning, especially in 2016. People aren't used to seeing this. So they got talked about on the thread or on the forum, and it's like an 8-page thread, mostly about the the actual issue, not the boy in particular. But they find his Facebook, his mom's Facebook, because his mom is aggressively pushing this kid out there to get on the fucking cover of National Geographic. So she's got a huge fingerprint, and then she comes out years later and says, "I was also doxxed. My 9-year-old was doxxed by Kiwi Farms." Like, we didn't fucking dox him. You're the one that put him on National Geographic, bro.
You went on the press tour. Do you kind of the feeling I get with a lot of this trans shit and the fad that it's become? It feels like it's become like the evolution or the second step of pageant moms. It really does. Like, instead of like taking my 4-year-old daughter and I don't know, putting 48 pounds of makeup on her and making her tap dance in front of a panel of judges, I'm going to take my son and put a dress on him, and that'll get me more attention.
There is that, and it's frustrating because you want to put like a nice ribbon on it and say this is the core issue, and this is the way to cut the Gordian knot. But the more fascinating and unfortunate aspect of the trans shit is that it's very multifaceted. There's a lot of different interests at play that are completely different but coincidentally align. And you see this with like the takedown of the forum, is that you have people who don't communicate with each other but who find themselves on the same page because they benefit in their own ways from having the site taken down. And with the trans stuff, you have pageant moms, you have people, single moms who like have this fatherless boy and they want a girl or they want special attention. They want to be the mom at the PTA saying, my daughter is trans and we need gender affirming blah 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 at our school. Like that's what they live for because they don't have a fucking hobby. You have those people. You have people who are genuinely just sick, disgusting perverts who want to walk around in a dress and jerk off in the women's restroom. And then you have people like Keffels, who I think is just like a misogynist. Like they put out tweets and saying like being trans to me isn't about imitating women, it's about being better than women. So, and there's more to, and then the global interest. I think that to the corporation apparatus, to the government, the trans person is the ideal outcome of what the left would call the end stage capitalism. You have people who are predominantly white from middle and upper class homes who are cutting off their own dicks and becoming infertile, and then their life is a menagerie of consumer interest, wanting to see themselves represented in their consumer interest, buying pharmaceuticals to maintain their pain levels and to maintain their estrogen. And then to replace them as they get older, you have to import labor from third world countries, and then that perpetuates the cycle of completely destroying the makeup, the demographics of the United States. I think that's the top down interest. But then you have all these useful idiots who have narcissistic personalities who are trying to enrich themselves either monetarily or sexually gratify themselves or get some other kind of attention from it. It's a rat king. It's one of the terms that we used to describe it years ago. It's a very bizarre phenomena.
So it's kind of it's this serendipitous conspiracy of different groups aligning because the interests happen to benefit them either financially or through retaining their power or feeding their narcissism, giving them the dopamine hit. And it just becomes a clusterfuck for everybody else that's left to deal with this shit in the wake of their actions.
Yeah, exactly. And I know kids at school. It's cool to be trans. It's cool to be queer. And since it's so broad now, you can fit in without actually having to commit to anything. Like they say that like 1 in 5 kids at school identifies as LGBTQIAP plus now. But that's like, you ask a guy, is like, what do you identify as? And he just wants to be with it. And he's just saying, oh, I'm queer. I'm non-conforming. And it's like he's just a straight dude who wants to bang chicks, who likes all the pretty girls in his classroom, but he also wants to appeal to them sensibly, and say, I'm queer, I'm non-conforming. And it's like there's no commitment there, but the campaign of media and shit has made it so that that's the in vogue thing to do. It's like playing fucking Pokemon. That's what everybody's doing. They're changing their gender.
Yeah, but the crazy thing to me is, back in the day, if you were to identify as gay or lesbian, whatever, there wasn't a physical commitment to it. To this shit, there's a physical fucking process that takes place. If it's just taking pills or chopping shit off, like it's a commitment you can't unfuck. They talk about people detransitioning, but that's just going to leave you as, you're closing the hole up, but you're not replacing the dick, right? So you're physically butchered and fucked up and chemically fucked for the rest of your life. And it's kind of a scary thought to think of a bunch of kids going through elementary and junior high thinking this is what I want. And then they transition or whatever in fucking high school and college. And then 5 years later, are like, oh, this was a big mistake, but there's no way to ever fix it.
Yeah, that's some of them. Because what happens is you have lonely people who go onto Discord and they're looking for friends. And it used to be back in the day, if you were lonely and looking for friends, you fell into one of two categories. You joined the anime club or you joined the furry fandom. And both of those groups are generally accepting of basically everyone. Nowadays, it's like you're online. What do? Oh, you join like the LGBTQIA plus. They're always looking for new people. They're chatty. They have events going on. They have funding. They have all sorts of stuff that you can get involved with. And then they end up in these discords, and they end up under the tutelage of older people who are attracted to children. And that's one of the other interests, is that you have genuine pedophiles who are just aroused by turning little boys into little girls, and basically people into making eunuchs out of children. And they get told, "Oh, you're not just queer. I think that you are actually. Did you ever play with a Barbie? Did you ever play with a Barbie? Do you like the color pink more than the color blue?" It's like that kind of shit. And then they say, "Well, I think that you were always meant to. I think you're a little girl trapped in a little boy's body." And I have all these resources. And if your parents don't consent, don't worry. I can send it to you in the mail. I know how to make it myself.
I love the contradiction too, because for like the last 3 or 4 years, right, the big push for gender equality and the anti-sexism talking points was boys can play with girls' toys and girls can play with boy toys, and that's not indicative of whether you're a boy or a girl. But now it's being used as a diagnosis, right? So,
Yeah.
oh no, if you do play with the Barbie, you're definitely a girl, and we need to cut your dick off. And if little Susie likes a Transformer, it's time to put some silly putty in her crack and then stick on a snuffleupagus nose made out of her arm tissue and call her Timmy.
Well, that's another interesting thing. That Matt Walsh. Did you watch that Matt Walsh movie about what is a woman?
Oh no! For a second, I thought you were talking about the guy that does was it Unsolved Mysteries? Who was the dude that had his kid disappear and he fucking made it a career hunting down pedophiles and criminals? Wasn't his name Matt Walsh too?
I have no idea. No, I've never heard that.
Oh my god, no! He. Let me just double check, and maybe I've gone fucking crazy. But no, like his son got kidnapped out of a store by what is assumed. Oh, it's John Walsh. John Walsh. Sorry. Okay, my mind blanked on me. No, I haven't seen that. For a second, I was wondering if it's the same guy.
It's kind of like it's okay. It's interesting. It's probably a good like entry point to people who are like already kind of skeptical. It's not a great documentary as far as like. Basically, it's a movie that you'll only like if you'll already like it. You'll not be swayed by this. I don't think. But he poses kind of as like a meme. He goes up to politicians and people in gender affirming care and he asks them, "What is a woman?" And they have no straight answer, to the point where that's the comedy, is that you can ask any of these people, "What is a woman?" and you will not know. You will glean nothing by talking to them. All they say is a woman is a person who identifies as a woman. But then, when you look at the people who identify as a woman, their concept, the men who identify as women, their concept of what a woman is like this bimbified, fetishistic idea of like, what is a woman? A woman is having long hair and fingernails and makeup and pumps and tits and an axe wound, and that's it. That's all it is to them. And if you try to suggest, is it reproductive? Are women supposed to be mothers? They say, well, what about women that can't have kids? Are they less of a woman? And so on. And it's like that end is messy, but it's always like the most bimbified concept possible.
Yeah, it's become ridiculous. It does seem very fetishistic. It does seem very fad-like to me. There obviously is a push. I wouldn't doubt pharmaceutical companies love it because they're going to make money gangbusters on this, not just from supplying estrogen or pills or whatever, but comforting, palliative medical care for the disaster that follows.
Yeah, for the rest of your life. The rest of your life,
yep.
You're going to be on some kind of pain management if you have the surgery.
And the government probably likes it because they're going to have a voter base that is, a self-crippled minority that will always need to use them to make people stop laughing. Right, so it makes them more reliant on Big Brother.
Yeah.
We can see that with Keffels. I mean, the first thing they do is they run to any government institution they can to make the mean shit go away.
Yeah, they have a friend in Harvard. I don't know his name. He's also trans, and he proudly states that he's like involved in Harvard, but I don't think he's actually an attorney. And his thing has been for years, since the abuse stuff was when he started paying attention to the forum, is that we should lose Section 230 protections, which, if you don't know, very, very, very broadly, I am not liable for shit you say on my site, and I'm not liable for deleting shit that you say on my site. That's Section 230 in a nutshell. But he contends that because I post on my site, I'm not protected by this. And it's true that for my posts, I am not protected by Section 230. I am liable for what I say. But he's tried to swing it so that I'm liable for everything everybody says because I post on the site, and that's just not true. So they're looking at.
I mean, that would be, that's a can of worms that idiot probably doesn't want to open, because then that means that everything Jack Dorsey's ever said on Twitter, anything Mark Zuckerberg has ever said on Facebook, anything these people have ever said, if they've made one post, now they're suddenly liable because they're not a platform, they're a publisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these sites are now liable. Even Susan Wojcicki, or whatever her fucking name is.
Wojcicki.
Yeah, she made a YouTube video. So, I mean, if she's posting on the site as a user, she's now liable for all the other users. Could you imagine her getting sued for all the Nazi shit she tried to get rid of? Be funny as fuck.
Yeah, well, that's why Google, Facebook, and all the big companies end up on the right side when it comes to net neutrality in Section 230, which is unfortunate because when Google starts proudly, promoting something like net neutrality, people say, "Wait a second, this has to be evil incarnate if Google's promoting it." But no, the reality is that it's a thing that's useful to us, but it's also very useful to them, which is why they want to keep it. It's implicit. It's like if you host a website, people can say what they want, and without doing anything, without filing any forms, without seeking a certain type of incorporation, you're not liable. It's a great thing to have. But it's not just that they're trying to get rid of. They're looking at very briefly. On the internet, there used to be a private company in the United States called ICANN, the Internet Consortium of Assigned Names and Numbers. ICANN was taken by Obama and given to the United Nations, so now it's an international organization.
That was a mistake.
That was a huge fucking mistake, one that we will definitely see repercussions for in the coming decades. It was safer in the United States. Very deliberate, very smart. If you were like intentionally trying to fuck everything up, moving ICANN out of the U.S. was a brilliant move. If I was Satan and I was trying to fuck everything up, that's exactly what I would say to do. So ICANN distributes IP addresses to the 5 different companies called RIRs, Regional Internet Registries. There are 5 of them. There's one in the US for North America, there's one in South America, one in Africa, one for Europe, and one for Asia and the Middle East. I have one in APNIC, which is Asia Pacific, and my IPs come from APNIC. APNIC is based out of Australia. Australia, after Christchurch, passed internet regulation and censorship. So now, Liz Fong Jones, who I think is Chinese-Australian, is trying to get APNIC to get rid of my IPs, basically. This has never happened in the history of the internet. There has never been a political censorship of resource limitations.
How dead in the water? I know you fought with hosting and server space and DDoS protection, but if they pull that off, right, and they pull your IPs, how dead in the water are you? Does that really fuck you? Is that like a final death knell kind of thing?
No. If that happens, I will move it. Basically, I have a layered network on 10 different companies. If I lose my IPs, I simply have to hide the Kiwi farms, and actually having my own resources is a benefit in some ways and a detriment in others, because now that people know where my networks are, they can probe them, they can attack them. If I had to hide my things again, then it would be more resilient to DDoS attacks. However, the upside of having my resources is that I can counteroffense, basically. I can set new things up on IPs, I can fortify my network, I can have multiple ISPs, I can have DDoS filters on the network level, I can do more. But if I was forced to hide, I would still be able to keep the site up.
See, I what I find fascinating about this, especially watching people who've been cheerleading this on, the destruction of the site, is it feels like a proxy for what's coming, right? We're watching this obviously between Keffels and Kiwi, but the bigger picture to me is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what if it's some kind of actual insurrection against the government? What if there's some crazy shit going on and people are trying to keep a website up to get information out? They're watching essentially what's being done to you is going to be done in that instance. And it's weird watching the people that I've seen before talk about internet freedom and the right to speak and have a place to go, cheerlead this shit on, because it baffles me that they don't see that later on this is going to be used against sites that they would probably want up, or that might serve some kind of a benefit. Like, I mean, they're chasing you around the internet all over the world, trying to rip you apart, and they're going after everything that's connected to you in a way to make that happen. And it's like this cat and mouse game of, can you escape it? And if you can't, that's got a really bad connotations for what the future of the internet's going to look like. Because what are people going to do? Have wireless mesh nets? You know what I mean? They're going to run a fucking second internet from the back of their truck driving around the countryside.
Ham radios, probably.
Just copy 10.4. What was that URL? It's gonna be good.
The Onion Tor will probably be resilient. However, the government basically, in the same way that I have contingencies for everything, the government also has things that they know how to take down that they don't do very often because they don't want them fixed. My personal conspiracy theory is DDoS attacks are such a universal problem that if they wanted to fix them, they probably could. I bet you that there is a way right now that could be set up in a week where if you are under a DDoS attack, you could communicate to the internet backbones, of which there's like only like 7 internet like tier 1 providers in the world, and say, I'm being attacked. This is my source, and this is the destination of the attack. And I bet you that it would be possible to coordinate with companies for free, not resource intensive at all, to end DDoS as a threat. However, I think that the DDoS attack is so simple and so useful to the government that they intentionally do not provide the service, and they have been asked by the government not to provide the service. And I think that's true with other things as well, that they know how to fix, and they choose not to. DDoS attacks have been around for 30 fucking years. They've always been there, and they for sure know how to fix it by now.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure there's a lot of shit they could patch up and take care of that they never do. I mean, you're talking about, at least with the U.S. government, that knows about like just 0-day exploits that they'll let sit there because it might be beneficial a year from then. I mean, with all the NSA shit and
well, here's a fun story about that. There was a pedophile who was arrested, who was identified as exchanging child pornography on Tor. The lawyer for the pedophile asked, I want to know how you identified him. We need proof. Before we take any plea deal or take this to court, I need to know what you did to identify my client as the person who transmitted this information over Tor, an encrypted network. And they said, we are not going to disclose that, so the charges are dropped. And he walked away. So whatever the fuck they had that was working, it was so important to them that they would have let literally anything walk so that they can continue to do espionage. I think that was patched eventually. They figured out what that was, but our government is evil. Our government is pure evil, run by very like most people listening to this will probably be familiar with the Christian fucking his mom thing. One of the people that he was talking to at the time was Isabella Yanka. Isabella Yanka is the daughter of an ex-CIA contractor named Michael Yanka. If you Google Michael Yanka Cloudflare, you'll find a video of the father of the woman that was talking to Chris while he was raping his mother, sitting next to Matthew Prince talking about how the internet needs more censorship. And considering that Isabella Yanka had a 3,000 page long thread on the Kiwi Farms, it really does raise some fucking eyebrows about what influence comes from where. I don't think that Michael Yanka is a part of Keffel thing at all. I think that in the time that it took for the Kiwi Farms to lose Cloudflare, there was that statement by Matthew Prince about their policies and how they handle abuse and yada yada and their commitment to free speech, and that was on Thursday. And then that Saturday, 2 days later, on a 3-day weekend, it was Labor Day weekend, he drops the Kiwi Farms and puts out this much more rushed, shitty statement that seems like panicked, and saying this site is the worst site that we've ever seen. We're dropping it right now. It's an imminent threat to human life. We've contacted law enforcement already because it's such a big deal. And I've not received any communique from any law enforcement anywhere regarding any imminent threat to human life. So he lied, and he lied in a way that I can't sue him for, but he lied to appease his shareholders, probably, because something happened. Either his payment processors threatened him, his board of directors threatened him with having him being forced to resign from CEO position, or someone like Michael Yanka got to him in his ear and said, you need to find a way to drop this site. And what is extremely pissy about that is that he said it was the worst site he's ever seen. It was an easier decision to make than the Daily Stormer or 8chan. And right now on his site are websites dedicated to drilling holes into the skulls of monkeys that proudly hosted by Cloudflare. ISIS websites proudly hosted by Cloudflare. DDoS protection, the works, for $200 a month, and it's a It's a joke. It's a bad joke, but it's going to go right over people's head. Unless
Do
they.
you think part of the do you think part of the problem, and I've always kind of wondered this, on how people like, let's say, Keffels or that group would have any kind of reach at all, is that the ones most drawn into this shit, or at least I guess the first ones most drawn into it, because now it's kind of a fad with younger kids, came from highly affluent families. It seemed like they were coming from families that were rich or well connected, and so they had the money and time to give into this kind of bizarre, fetishistic, I'm going to become a
Oh,
woman
you mean like
thing.
Jazz Jennings? Jazz Jennings
Yeah,
was one of
yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about people like uh what is it? Oh, I guess what I'm getting at is I don't see this having started with kids living in the ghetto, right? Poor people.
No.
I see this having started with kids that went to the really nice college because mom and dad have a fucking six-figure job, because mom or dad work with the government or at a NGO or whatever. And do you think that these people have undue influence because of that? Because, they're midway through their journey of tying a noose around their neck. So they see Kiwi Farms and this big fight happen, and they're like, we need to make that go away. And so their parents or people that know their parents have a voice that can reach somebody like Prince on his 3-day weekend and be like, you need to take this down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people who are involved in complaining on Twitter and shit are opportunistic. They've been quiet for years because they know that it's not a good idea to draw attention to it because the site gets more views to their threads if they talk about it. But now they see this as like the last chance to take down the site. So.
Oh, now did you see that little pop up?
Yeah, I just heard the notification. So it's 45 minutes. That's all they give us to talk.
Free group calls have a limit of 1 hour. We get 1 hour. We got 10 more minutes, then you'll have to resend the link. Yeah, this is this very much confused Andy when I was a guest on his stream, and it took him like 20 minutes to figure out what that meant.
That's bizarre. Zoom doesn't do that, does it?
No, I think Google's doing it to push you to like subscribe or pay some kind of fee, but you can still use it for an hour for free and just start a second one up and use that for free. So why would you ever pay?
Yeah, that's bizarre. Discord does it for free too. I can't believe that Google can't. That's bizarre.
They want that paywall up. Maybe this is the way they keep out, like, Discord groomers and shit. They're like, well, if we put an hour time limit on it, it fucks their game up.
They've completely ruined the Discord daddies, making Discord kittens keep it on overnight while they're sleeping, because that shit just turns off and they can't wake them up to say, give me a new fucking link every hour.
Yeah, right.
They fixed the problem.
Everybody thought Google was evil, but they've been thinking outside the box for a while now.
Oh jeez. But yeah, it's a rich people thing. I mean, one guy's about to have a fucking epileptic fit in chat, unless I mention Jews. Jazz Jennings, I pointed out very specifically because he's Jewish. Jazz
Jennings, a great example, because what happens? They put him on pills. They put him on pills. We're going to transition you, Jazz. We're going to transition you. Take these pills. Take this estrogen. You'll block puberty. And then it comes up to surgery day, and the doctor looks at him and says, you don't have enough of a dick for us to make a fake pussy.
Yeah,
because you didn't go through puberty. You don't have enough genitalias for us to butcher it up.
That is the Jazz Jennings things never gets mentioned. And I try to bring it up. I'm glad that you know the story, because basically Jazz Jennings transitioned early in life. The best example of exactly what Keffels wants says you can go on these hormone blockers. You can take estrogen anytime you want. It just stops puberty so that when you are an adult you look more feminine. Yada yada yada. The issue is that for Jazz Jennings, and this is a middle centipede thing for sure, because you take those puberty blockers as a kid, you start taking estrogen as a teenager, you go through like a fake puberty, and you can look at Jazz Jennings. Jazz Jennings does not pass at all, and then they reach adulthood. Well, the issue is that when they split your cock down the middle and make labia out of it, you need the schmeat. You need schmeat to build the new thing out of. So when you have a little baby dick, you can't take that and make a vagina out of it. Anything.
Yeah, because Jazz was literally stuck at like, based on what the doctor was saying, you're talking like the physical features of like a fucking 9-year-old.
Yeah,
and they've got to invert the penis to make depth for the vagina. But if you've got like a 2-inch dick, and then you got to cut stuff open to make other pieces. There's not enough to do stuff with.
Yeah, it's like a horror story, and then they go through it, and there's complications, and they're in pain. And now you look at Jazz Jennings. Jazz Jennings is fat.
Oh my god, yeah, they're the size of a dump truck. Yeah, I'd be eating all the time too. What else are you gonna do? Right? There's nothing else to do.
There's literally nothing else to do. There's no way to get off. And that's like, okay, now you're really fucked. You're 20 years old. You have two options. You can either A, make a vagina out of your intestines because you don't have any penis to make it out of, or B, you can stay stuck with your baby dick. Now, who the fuck is into actual like intestinal lined vagina or a baby dick? Like your romantic life is destroyed. You have no hope whatsoever of even maintaining an illusion of a functional relationship. You have fucked your life.
Yeah, well, there's no recovery. I mean, that's the thing they're stuck with, right? They can't even if they detransition, right? There wouldn't be anything to reassemble because you'd still be stuck at the point of being a 9-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So there's no sex. There's absolutely, there will never be any sex for Jazz Jennings. They'll never have an orgasm. That's completely gone. Now Jazz looks like a fat man. And I'm sure is fucking miserable. I remember watching like when they got the surgery and stuff, all their stitches popped, shit was rotting and fetid. Again, because not enough material to work with. Now imagine all those little kids that are being told drink the Troonshine are going to grow up in that same fucking situation.
Thousands.
Specifically for boys. Yeah, it's so they're not even going to get to the point of transitioning because they're going to hit a brick wall and then they're going to be stuck as undeveloped adults. And I can't even. I mean, look how mad Ralph gets when you talk about how small his dick is, and this is like, this is even worse. You know, like they're going to be rage hogging like you wouldn't believe.
I mean, they don't have the testosterone for that though. They're just going to sit there on Twitter and you know, seethe and deplatform people. That's what happens with those.
It's going to be an entire It's going to be a baby dick brigade, an entire generation of them, fucked over by the medical industry, unable to give into their fetish, I guess. I don't know what the end result of that's going to be, but it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah, it's like literally watching tragedy unfold because it takes years. It takes years for the tragedy to complete its story arc, and you just know that it's fucked up. And you try to say something about it, and you get banned.
You get really fucking mad if you bring it up. When I did a video on it, all the comments in this, like all the, especially like the subreddits and shit dedicated to this, anybody that brought up even like in the nicest way, like, hey, I'm having issues or I'm having doubts or maybe this isn't for me or maybe I want to go back. They were just told that they were the fucking incarnation of Satan and that they weren't doing it right and that they were, what's that fucking term they all like to use? TERFs?
TERFs.
Is that it?
TERFs are like are women. They're women who are feminist and they exclude trans or exclusionary radical feminists.
Right, like they were accusing them of being like undercover.
Yeah, like
TERFs to
LARPing.
sow
Yeah,
division. Yeah.
That's a funny story too. If you want to know, if you want to know why, I feel bad for womankind right now, to the point where a lot of people call me like a simp or like a male feminist. You should see what happens to any. Oh geez, I have an email. You should see what happens to any women space, like a website for women about women's issues on the internet. These places are routinely co-opted, and it does not matter what it is. It can be a group for talking about ovarian health or uterine health, uterine cancers, ovarian cysts. It can be a place for pregnancy. It can be a place for, mothers. It doesn't matter. They always routinely get co-opted by
trannies. You know what it kind of reminds me of? Trannies remind me of, what's that female character from Fight Club? The one who would fake shit to go to the group therapy sessions?
Oh, Martha, isn't it?
Is that it? Yeah. So they're all a bunch of Marthas, right? Like they sneak in by saying they're that, and then but they take it farther than Martha would. Then they take over the group, kind of basically.
Yeah. Marla Singer. I should know this. Fight Club is my favorite movie, and you caught me off guard. Yeah, Marla. Yeah, it is like that. But it's not. Actually, I take that back. It has nothing. It's completely different. That's like a voyeurism thing. You want to see, voyeurism is what we do. Kiwi Farms. You're seeing people in various states of emotional conflict and suffering.
Kiwi farmers are the good Marlas, and the trannies are the bad Marlas.
The trannies are it would be different. It would be like if Marla was there in the testicular cancer club because she wanted to speak all the time and say how bad her testicular cancer was. And if anyone said, hey, maybe you don't have testicular cancer because you're a woman, they got kicked out of the club. And they don't want to get kicked out of the club because they're depressed because they lost their balls and they're going to kill themselves. And they need the club. They need to stay in the club. So everyone just politely ignores the fact that Marla speaks for half the time and they can't say anything about it. That's the correct interpretation of that situation.
Oh, we need to. This entire book needs to be rewritten now, and Marla needs to be a trans character just to show this. Like now, I want to see that plot line play out of them subverting every fucking group they go to.
And his dead name was Robert Paulson. That's why he's got bitch tits. He's a de-transer.
Perfect.
Okay. Let me give you a link, actually, because it's time.
Oh, we got under a minute. Yeah. Okay. I'll jump out of this. Send me a link and I'll pop back in. Okay.
All right. Let's see. New meeting. Start instant meeting. I'm now in a new meeting. Microphone works. Send this over on post. Now we wait. Actually, I spent all this time setting this shit up. And I've actually not used it at all. I have a very fancy thing that I've completely neglected to use throughout this. No, it's still waiting on Jim. But now, chat, I do should have this working. Hello. Oh, it looks uglier than I imagined. I had this whole thing planned out to have Hangouts look cool on my screen, and it's just all fucked up. You can see his Rage Pig avatar. Is there a reason why you keep the OBS logo on top of his face?
No, I'm just technically inept. I don't know how to make it fuck off. So it's like a black hole of white. It represents him well because he'll shovel anything in that fucking mouth of his. So technically is on point. But yeah, it's stuck there. I don't know what the fuck to do with it.
Okay. I never got to finish my timeline of events. We got distracted for an hour.
Yeah. So we had Keffels. Keffels and Destiny have a row. Keffels starts talking about getting Destiny deplatformed, and starts doing the "I'm going to ratio everybody on Twitter" shit.
They make
that's about it.
They make a testicular cancer support group.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and then we got to Matthew Prince. I mentioned that that we got dropped by Cloudflare on Saturday. Cloudflare is very important because Cloudflare offers something that you cannot. Basically, with any other service, you can do it yourself. You can get your own IPs. You can get your own servers. You can make your own fucking data center. You can literally put a server in your house and buy your own router and convince your ISP to give you a BGP session so that IPs route to a box in your fucking home. I could do that. I could be my own data center. And ISPs are very resilient because they have to be. Cross your fingers that ISPs will stay resilient because that's next. But the one thing that you cannot do, and you can find open source software alternatives to all sorts of different forums, like Forum Software has open source alternatives to Zenforo. I have to replace them because they canceled our license about a year ago. However, application layer, and you can find network layer DDoS mitigation. You can pay for that. Application layer DDoS mitigation is difficult. That is something that actually almost nobody does. Makes their own DDoS mitigation. It is because it is such a cat and mouse thing with technology that you basically need round the clock staff looking at the different threats that are popular online, figuring out how to combat them, what networks are the most compromised, and when to throw captchas like that. All that shit is extremely complicated, and more complicated even than network level filtering. So almost everybody uses Cloudflare. The only companies that don't use, I think 80% of websites use Cloudflare. The only ones that don't use Cloudflare are sufficiently large corporations like Microsoft that can do their own application level filtering or scale up enough that they don't have to worry about it.
So it must be, I mean, it has to at some point be profitable for them, even with the amount of work put into it. So why do they have such a monopoly on it?
Good question.
I mean, why
'Cause
why is everybody still beholden to Cloudflare? I mean, if it was a money pit and he was losing money all the time, he'd drop it eventually, or somebody else would find a better way. But if he's bringing in the money doing it, there's got to be. Why aren't there other companies saying, "Fuck, I 80%. I want it. Give me 20%. I can make money off
I
that."
I think that what it is a size. It's an issue similar to like with YouTube. Because it is such a cat and mouse game. The issue is that if you make a company that offers a DDoS mitigation service, if you grow large enough, people will start tailoring their attacks to your software suite. And captchas are a great example of this, by the way. Text captchas are very broken. So, but when you make your own captcha, which you can do, I worked with Frederick to make one for Infinity Next. Those are actually good if you make them yourself, and they have like your own choice of fonts and distortion and stuff. They work very well. But if you were to publish your own captcha as like this service, and then millions of people started using it, you would very quickly find yourself targeted, and your captchas would be continually busted because it would be profitable for darknet interests and hackers to find ways around your captcha. And people will just start doing it for fun, because like the Kiwi Farms gets fucked with by people who are literally just saying like, this is a website that has trouble going down. I wonder if I can bring it down. And they have no other interest in the site beyond that. They're like, from Kazakhstan. They don't give a fuck. They're just playing around. So captchas fall under that. But with DDoS mitigations, it's the same thing. And you can like the Diamol people. They're 2 college students in Portugal. They're thinking, "Fuck, we can make a great DDoS service. It's not that hard." They set it up, and it's like, oh, there's actually a lot of shit eating that's attached to being a DDoS mitigator. Because you are the
what happened with them in particular? Was that the one that Keffels wrote a PR statement for them?
They claim that Keffels just spell checked it because they're Portuguese. They don't speak English as a first language. However, Keffels claims now that he helped draft it. So I don't know. Keffels lies about everything, so I'm willing to believe them. But yeah, basically, and what's frustrating about them, and this is skipping ahead a bit from the timeline, but this was Monday, I want to say. And I emailed them and I say, "This is what's happening. Here's a PR statement." I was suggested to them by somebody. And they said, "Yeah, we can handle it." Thinking, okay, and we're confident we offer a great service. I'm like, "Well, what about the GDPR? You guys are in the EU." I'm like, "Nah, we can handle it. We're just a pass through." I'm like, "Okay." Turn it on. 1 hour later, we have been contacted by 15 different journalists. There's an issue. We did not expect this, and you weren't completely honest with the content of your site. And like, well, I linked you to the articles and shit. The main thing that they had an issue with was that one of the dockets floating around referenced a lot of the content from the Zeus Sadist links. So I've actually restricted access to the old archive because all the chat logs and stuff have been copied and pasted into threads and stuff.
Shouldn't they be thanking you? The Zeus Sadist leaks and all of that ended up leading to the arrest of Snake thing.
Well, that's actually, if you try to go to the Zeus Sadist archive right now, you get a message calling journalists scum because in links to those threads and stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you were honest about like the site, you would have to mention that, but nobody does.
And Snake thing was the worst one. He was the one talking about molesting his 5-year-old cousin and raping him and killing and fucking dogs.
Yep, and he's still in jail.
Yeah, and he went to prison.
And I mean, Wolf was, as far as like, I mean, it's hard to compare them. The Snake thing was disgusting because he was talking about animals being tortured in like a way that, like, I guess like a furry would like say, "Ooh, what a cute fursuit!" Like, "Ooh, what a nice torture video!" Ooh, and it's like bizarre, unhinged. But Wolf was the one who like he was Cuban and he like staked puppies with like a thing covered in fire ants. He was a grueling sadist. And the government of Cuba disappeared him. But nobody brings this up, of course. They just bring up they have Zeus Sadist shit on their site. And it's like, well, yeah, because people were trying to find them, and they did.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I saw what happened with even with like Post. Because you guys came over, and then all of a sudden there's was it a Huffington Post journalist just suddenly decided to make a fucking account and start talking to people
On Post?
Yeah, they banned him.
Yeah, I mean maybe because it's like people are on post now. They're on the forum and they're definitely looking for the next target. Someone said that I don't want to name drop them because they won't appreciate. They get mad at me if I talk about them. But it's a website that's similar to the Kiwi Farms, and it's mostly women talking about women locales. They've been down
Encyclopedia Dramatica.
Yeah, that one. They've been down all weekend, or like for the last day or two, and I don't know if that's like related to other attacks. Because I mentioned this in one of my early statements that I know if this site goes down, they will immediately start targeting women's websites, because that is what's exciting for them. You think that it's exciting for Keffels to do a victory lap on the Kiwi Farms? It would be literally sexually gratifying for Keffels to say, "I took away your space for 1,000 women." That would bring him the closest he can get to
orgasm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's clear it's not going to just stop with Kiwi. I mean, they're going to start hitting other sites. They already went after archival sites. I've only seen 1 or 2 people ever pull that off too, getting archives wiped.
Yeah, it's archive. The Wayback Machine, that's the one. They were trying to get archive.today to pull theirs as well, but as far as I know, they haven't. And it's because they have friends in tech, man. That's the issue. They can get my Google Voice number dropped. I can't make calls to or from my Google Voice number. I can't receive text messages on my. And it's like, I talked to their support agent, and they're going through the checklist, like, can you tell us what area you're in, what software you're using? So it's like there's not like an obvious flag on my account that says I'm banned. I guarantee you, some fucking troon, software contractor just did something to break my account as best he could, and then walk away from it. And it's like it's not even like I'm banned. It's like someone broke my Google Voice number, so I can't use it.
Right. Well, didn't that what is the Fong one that's working with Keffels?
Liz Fong Jones. They worked at he worked.
They worked at Google. Yeah, right. So they probably still have friends there, don't they?
Yeah. He. I don't remember what he did exactly. He's
Made
really
the workplace a living hell, probably.
he was very active in like the Google internal forum for like LGBT issues. He said. So I'm sure. Yeah, he was that guy. He's really funny because he's hideous. Number one, he's like usually Asians have like a racial perk to passing when they transition, but not him.
Not him.
No, he's got a strong jaw. I call it the Robert Zadar jaw. He's got a fucking meaty face, and his trans boyfriend. Speaking of snake things, is like trans snake, and he walks around in public with his hands bound behind his back and like. So
you're telling me you're walking? I'm just trying to picture myself as like a Google employee when they were still employed there, and I'm walking across campus to go fix some fucking issue in a server or something, and here comes Asian Jay Leno with some guy slithering behind them on the ground, sticking his tongue in the air.
Not on the ground. He walks around in like a sleeveless champagne dress with and they all wear fucking fetish collars like animals, and like walks around on a leash in public. And they're just like, I don't know, I'm a snake girl, I'm a snake. And that's just how they live, and it's fucking weird. And these are the people who decide if I get to make phone calls.
That's the person with the final say on whether or not you can dial a number.
Yeah.
Do you think they feed him live rats? Is he that dedicated to the snake role play? Is he eating mice and shit?
I hope not. Maybe he just eats all the dongs when they get cut off, and they just feed it to him.
He gobbles it up. Yeah.
Literally.
I didn't know this was a Jewish snake. Okay.
Oh no. No. This is they only take the tip. We're talking about the whole dongus in a bag here.
Well, he's thorough, right? He's very thorough. He doesn't want to leave anything behind.
It's for a total circumcision.
Absolute. We're going all the way.
Yeah.
Prince does a reversal on his statement 3 days ago, comes out, gives you a bunch of bullshit saying we're dropping you.
Yeah.
And then what was your next step after that? You can still be vague about it, but I mean, like, what did you decide you were going to do?
I've been working. Okay, so my first step is I'm trying to find. I mentioned that there's a difference between application DDoS attacks and network DDoS attacks. I'm working on getting network DDoS filtering. I've been working on this since December. I have an ISP that I'm working with to try and get them to filter traffic for me. It has not been going well. They are terrible at answering tickets, and they're literally the only reason I have not given up on them and told them to fuck off and cancel everything is that if they're that bad at answering emails, they're probably exactly what I need. Because not a fucking thing is going to be heard at all in that company. The bombs could be dropping, and they're going to be working just as they did yesterday because they didn't hear shit inside that facility. But it's so close now, but it's like now it's I hate the weekends because I'm always anxious and I have 1,000 things in my head. I gotta get this done. I have to fortify this. I have to change this. I have to tweak this. This is not working. I have to get that working. That's urgent. I have a priority list, and then the weekend comes and I'm sitting on my hands. I'm thinking there's not much I can do. I can fuck with my servers. I can stream. I can play some EU4, I can watch a movie, but that's about it. I have to wait until next week to get anything done. So I'm sitting on my hands right now, still waiting for the thing to get done from last week. That was pretty close, but that I've been waiting on since December. And it's so frustrating. One of the things is I'm upgrading to a 10 gigabit connection, and I need a special port. You have a 1 gigabit per second Ethernet connection. If you want 10 gigabits, you have to have an SFP plus connection. My router did not have an SFP plus connection, so
is this a router replacement you were talking about?
Yes. So I bought a new one months ago, and I sent it to the facility, and I said, "This is the new one for when they get their shit set up. Plug it in. It has an SFP on it." They say, "Okay." It was a $1,600 router. Time rolls around where I'm really cracking the whip. Like, I gotta get this shit done. Install my new router. They're like, "We can't find it. It's been like months." I'm like, "So you just lost my fucking router?" And they're like, "Yes." So they offered me a new one that is more expensive, but half off. It's like a $3,000 router. They're selling to me for $1,500. So they basically cut the price in half for me.
Wait a minute. What kind of scam is this? We lost No. We lost the $1,600 router you sent to us. But we'll tell you what. We'll sell you another one. We'll sell you another one you can buy directly from us.
I am not in the position to make demands.
I
will take your fucking router.
I bet you it's the same fucking router, and they're just telling you it's a different one. They're selling you your own router back for the same fucking price.
I wish, because that one has a user interface, and the one that I have no longer does. So I have to figure out the command line for a completely different system I'm unfamiliar with. And
why are you sending your routers to Israel, Josh? What are you doing?
Because they over there in the greatest country on God's green earth, the blue and white flag that I would gladly lay down 10 million American lives for. They protect me for the right price, and right now that's the best I can ask for. So that's what's happening. And if they want to sell me a new, better router,
it'd be a real shame, Josh, if the second router had an accident too, and they needed to sell you a third one.
Hey, I'll take it at this point. Whatever, as long as it fucking works at this point, I will buy whatever. It's all that's another one of the things. It's like it's frustrating because people are like, "Josh, I want to send you money. I want to send you like $5,000 in crypto. Where can I send it?" And I was like, "Well, you can send it here if you want, because I like money." But it's not a money thing. If it was a money thing, it's like we have to reach this, like that South Park episode where they keep having to shill on the Christian Broadcasting Network to upgrade their spaceship to fight the aliens and shit. It's like, if that was the issue, I would be on the CBC marathon saying we need $100,000 to upgrade our laser to fight the aliens. But it's not. I need people who have a spine to stand by their product and say, unless you have a court order, we are not taking anything down. And that shit is worth way more than money right now. To all you little kids out there,
have you found some?
I have a lot of good people in my part. A lot of people who want to help, but they have small companies, or they're small time professionals, and they can't stick their neck out directly, but they're throwing in what they can in terms of like information. Because you were laughing at me before the stream started because I couldn't figure out how to turn my fucking microphone on Google Hangouts. I need intellectual capital surrounding me at this point. Yeah. I need people helping me out, because when I get a new router that I've never looked at before, and I have to get the website's down until I can figure out how to set up this new router, having somebody who is in networking helping is a godsend. It's worth more than anything.
So have you made like a list? I mean, so I know that you tried going the Russian route, and that didn't work, and then the Chinese route, and that didn't work. Is there like a rogue nation out there that just doesn't give a shit about trannies, like some African country that's like, fuck it?
Well, it would be inappropriate to say that Russia and China failed me, because what happens is that one private company in each of those websites failed me. There are considerations for every country on earth, and there was a time when the Kiwi Farms was stable. I was looking at different places to host, and I have paid a lot of money for solicitors and attorneys and advocates, as they say in Russia, to review the laws and the Kiwi Farms and tell me what they can do, what their country can do. I've talked to people in Finland, Denmark, Italy, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Iceland.
I'm talking like Zimbabwe. Okay, I'm talking like, let's go to the heart of Africa shit, where you can send them a bag of grain, they'll let you put your fucking website up.
It's not so simple. And I have found a data center in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Would Ulaanbaatar be a good place? No, because they have a 10 megabit per second router there. And if you don't know, I need at least 2 gigabits per second, which is 200 times faster. So those places have their own issues. Like Seychelles and Mauritius have good reputations as being bulletproof, but they have very limited networking because they're a fucking island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and they don't have that great of a connection to the rest of the world.
How about North Korea? Have we looked at North Korea?
I have looked at North Korea. Nobody replied to my emails. So okay, Russia. Russia has blocked KiwiFarms.net in Russia. Roskomnadzor has the censorship authority, internet authority in Russia, said that and this is not a joke. This picture of Adolf Hitler dressed as Santa saying "Ho ho Holocaust" is offensive to the Christian values of Russia.
Sorry. So the Russians didn't like that one?
No, they actually blocked the Kiwi Farms over the Ho Ho Holocaust. If you don't know, kids, Holocaust denial is illegal in many countries, such as Israel, the entirety of Europe, and also Russia.
Oh.
Now, Russia's
I want to hear that discussion. I want to hear him talking with his boss about that particular fucking picture.
Well, it's not. It's less funny when you know how it is. They have a list of images that are banned, and they see it and they send a complaint, and if you don't complain, they block you. And that's all there is to it. Unless now Russia is a land of opportunity, and if you have the ruble, you can have your way with Roskomnadzor and whoever, like Davichka, which is 2chan2ch.hk. That is an image board in Russia that probably, and especially with VK, you can see some fucked up shit on VK, which is like Russian Facebook. Problem is that those people are, those websites belong to people who are in the know, who are paying the right people, and they get the protection that they need. You
got to meet some Russian mobsters, basically.
Yeah, and I theoretically could. I know some people, but I'm not like when we were briefly hosted in on DDoS Guard. There was some fucking asshole from MSNBC or CNN or some shit, 500,000 followers, who was the former assistant to the FBI. I don't know who the fuck he was. He had some Italian name. And he was like, interesting. The Kiwi Farms is now hosted out of Russia. Could this be a setup to use the Kiwi Farms as a disinformation campaign against the Democratic Party in 2022 Congress elections? And it's like, okay, I already see what's going to happen if we go the Russia-China route. And I think that going that direction would draw the ire of the feds, and it would give more people a reason to hate the site in like a general public sort of way. And I'm not there yet, where it's like, because what happened to Snowden is that he's now basically Putin's bitch. He lives in Moscow, and that's where he'll live, and that's where he'll die. He'll die in Russia, and it's like, I'm an American. My website is legal in the United States of America. I just need some Americans to stand by their fucking service and say, no, not without a court order. It should be the easiest thing in the world. No, fuck off. We don't give a shit. Bring us a court order. All you got to say. But the campaign and the pressure and the going after clients, people who are saying that they're going to start targeting the largest clients of Cloudflare and the people
Could you create like a software solution and like do a pachinko thing? You know how the Japanese get around pachinko being gambling by having the businesses separated. Could you come up with some kind of a software where when you're posting on the forum, it's all innocuous and there are no private details and nothing mean is said, but then there's software on your desktop that translates it to what is actually being said. So technically your website's not hosted.
There's a lot of like creative solutions. The issue is that all those require like a complete forum software rewrite. And the thing is that I firmly believe that what is hosted on the forum should be accessible to a regular person in a regular browser on the internet, the big I internet that exists that connects all of us across the world together. The moment that it becomes like, okay, let's just host on Tor only, let's use special browsers, let's become invite only, it's like, well, why even fucking bother then? You can host anything if it's invite only on Tor, you know what I mean? But my website is a discussion forum between adults, and we should be able to say what we say, and people should be able to read it without an account and without bullshit, protecting it.
I know, but I think we're getting close to the end days of that. I mean, if you look at the demographic shift of users on the internet, right? Everybody is essentially mobile now. Forums are going the way of the dinosaurs, and the only sites that are interesting where you can really speak and say what you want are a handful of image boards, a handful of forums, and it seems like people are dead set on making it so you just can't fucking use them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, if it gets to that point where it's like, I have tried literally everything, and, something, let's say that the government just steps down, the NSA comes down and says, Josh, the CIA knocks on my door, says, hey, we have an attaché in Serbia, in case you didn't know, hello, for the CIA, and if you don't shut down this website, we're going to frame you like Al Capone, and we're going to find some bullshit reason to have you extradited back to the U.S., and it's like, if it gets to that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to zip up everything. There's about 8 terabytes of data on the site, and I'll just give it out to people. I'll anonymize the user data so that there's no like email addresses and passwords and shit or usernames left on the site, and I'll hand it out to people.
A final fuck you.
Yeah,
the powers that be.
And that information will find. What I suggest to people if that happens is they should become more focused. Make a website dedicated to one board or one group of threads or whatever. Don't try to make Kiwi Farms 2. That won't work. It would be stomped out like like a newborn. It would don't even try. But that information will be out there so people can find it on a web torrent and download it and reinstance the site and delete everything that they don't need. And go.
Well, yeah, I've been used to watching shit get subverted, right? That used to be the play, like NeoGAF or something awful. They'd come and take over the mod team admins, change the rules, and everybody has to behave. But there was like a switch up almost around election time with stuff like 8chan or the Daily Stormer and now Kiwi Farms, where it's not like we're going to subvert it and change it that way. We're just going to fucking wipe it out and make it go away. And it makes me, I guess, worried for what's left. I mean, once Kiwi Farms is gone, what websites are left that are still large? You've got 4chan, and then you go to the smaller size, like your female forum you don't want to specifically name, or Cow or Encyclopedia Dramatica. I mean, they're not going to stop. Any place somebody says something they don't like, they're just going to get it yanked, and it'll be easier because they'll be dealing with people that aren't going to put in the effort you're putting in.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. The answer to this is federated content. Things like the Fediverse will probably become the new norm because the biggest nodes like posts will always be targeted and stuff, but the actual requirements in terms of money and time to set up a single Fediverse node is actually quite small, and the more people on it, the easier it will be to one-click deploy your own Fediverse node.
I think you or Graph or somebody should make that into a business. A lot of
they're working on that. They're working on that, but that's the thing. It's like if you have a server, farm in whatever country, and you say one-click deploy a Fediverse node, well, that's still centralized. I'm talking about like build your own shit that is independent.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, build your own shit's good, but I think a lot of people are just technically inept. If you could sell a package, if somebody said, hey, I want my own instance, or
it'll be free. I know that the hosting aspect of it, this is how it works in open source software: is that the software is free, you get the attention, you get people putting in time and smarts improving it for free because they use it, and then also you have a premium company attached. It's like we sell Fediverse nodes to businesses. So if you want to have, a Fediverse presence for your company, you can pay us for our enterprise suite, the best of the best. But the software that it runs is free, and anybody can download it and set up their own ship hosting node if they want. That's how it usually works.
Yeah, but I'm saying people are so fucking stupid and lazy. Doing that's too much. What I'm saying is you create a template where somebody says, I want my own instance or whatever, and you're like, yeah, $5. They pay the $5 and it's set up for them, and they just basically run it.
Oh, like
there is nothing that they do.
Yeah.
Everything's set up. It's prepackaged. It's an end user product. There's no work that you do. It's customed. It's ready to go. And then you go to the big companies and fuck around if you want to make it bigger and better.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, why not? But people do that for free right now. Is like Dick Masterson says.
I'm saying they shouldn't. I'm saying if you guys want a war chest for future shit you're going to deal with, people like Raph or you or whatever should make that a business, and then appeal to people's you're dealing with the laziest group of people that's ever used the internet. Everybody puts their first name and their address on every fucking account they have. If it's not explicitly written on how to do something, they're fucking retards. So, making it retard proof will make you profit and expand the Fediverse.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. There's like tiers. You have the open. It's not that hard. I'll say that. But like the average person will just join a node. Like they don't. You'll have three kinds of people: crazy people who want to set up their own shit and have people on it, or just make it for themselves. You'll have businesses that want a point of presence. You'll have large nodes that may also have centralized systems that they set up for people who just want to rent a domain name. And then you have the end user who will just join, the majority of people who just join. So like the business applications are already there, but Federation in general is where it's moving. People want to get off Discord. They're joining XMPP, which has been around for ages, but it's making a comeback. I've never heard of XMPP, and now my XMPP list has like 10 people on it from the last 2 weeks. I'm trying to talk to people and like, add me on XMPP. I was like, okay, fine. That's sort of like decentralized instant messaging. You have people trying to make services like Matrix, which is decentralized like Discord, but it's not very good. So that's sort of the issue, is that the free stuff is not as great, and that's how it always is.
That's an eternal story, isn't it?
But it's there, and it's getting better all the time is the thing. The Fediverse is doing great. It's really working. It's impressive. And I've been trying to tell people for years now that no, really, it's out there. You have Twitter that doesn't suck, and there's a lot of people on it, and you just got to join and you got to tell people about it. But
I haven't had any issues with it on the instance I'm on so far.
And hopefully that will become everything. Email is like this too. Email is decentralized, and it's worked fine. For decades, literally for decades, and we'll have that, and hopefully, my big fear is especially with the Russia shit, I don't want to see the internet break apart. I know that China has their own little I internet, their own network for their country. North Korea has that too, and I just see that being the inevitable future, is that Russia will be on its own thing with Belarus, and the EU will have its own thing. And the only people like within China who can communicate outside their internet are companies that have a license to. Which is why it saddens me to see people like Liz Fong Jones deliberately trying to strike blows at the central points of weakness. Because if APNIC, which by the way includes China as their service region, decides we're going to start dropping services that are politically misaligned with Australia, well, who do you think is going to file all the complaints to APNIC going forward? It's going to be China. China's going to file 1 million complaints the first fucking day that happens. So it's a really bad precedent.
To get rid of all the Winnie the Pooh pictures. Is it going to be a purge of Australian poos?
Yeah, all the poos, all the I mean, they have a lot of shit, and especially like just capitalist things. You have so many people already who are just trying to get in to China as a market, like Zhang Xina talking about the Zhongguo, Hen Hao Bing Chilling, and that.
Are you having a stroke? Or are you talking Chinese?
I'm talking Chinese. That's real Chinese.
I I don't know if it's like a racial joke. I go bing bong ching chong, or if you're like stroking out on me for a minute.
That's what the language sounds like. It's just sounds.
Pointed the stress got to him. He's finally stroking out, folks.
You do know the John Cena thing, right?
Where he did the fucking commercial like a whipped puppy. Didn't he do an apology video or some shit?
All he said was Taiwan. I was like, I love Taiwan or something like that, and he like said it in a way that made it sound distinct from China. So the WWE, who has a huge business in China, cracked the whip, and he put out like a TikTok video because they have their own TikTok. They own TikTok, but they have an internal TikTok that's something else. And he put out a thing on TikTok, and he goes, and he's eating ice cream, and he's speaking Chinese, and he's like, ho ho, I really love the Chinese people, but I also love ice cream, and that's what Bing Xiling is like, ice cream. It's like frozen cream or something in Chinese, and he's like, ice cream, and I love China.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, and I thought you were having a medical emergency. I was a little worried there for you. I thought they send an elite squad of troons to get you, and they inject you with a little troon shine when we weren't watching.
I find I'm very fascinated by China and Russia, so I know a lot about them. And I see where it's going, because even the EU though, the EU. People don't even know this in the US, but the EU is actually really fucking tired of America. And they literally see Americans as the biggest fucking retards, and our political election cycles are like trash TV to them, and they just like scoff at us. And they want to make their own shit. They want to have an EU internet that has different rules with more privacy and more regulation and stuff. And the average person in the EU would support that. And I see that the EU will have a trade union internet. The Russians and Belarusians will have their own internet, and what's the African thing called? The African Union will have its own thing.
What's the African internet called? I don't know. Dial up.
Africa. I mean, Africa's where all the innovation's going to come from. Mark my words, because they still use shortwave. They still have shortwave in Africa. It's still big there.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet they're innovating like crazy down there.
Well, I mean, you're talking about moving to Africa. Daily Stormer's on .rw, which is Rwanda, and Rwanda has had a bit of an economic miracle because it's called billions of dollars of foreign aid has really revitalized Rwanda into a paradise under a dictatorship, and you can get away with a lot of shit in Rwanda. So
now, have you tried reaching out to the Rwandan dictator and be like, "Hey,
white people are fucking crazy. Look at these people; they're cutting off their dicks, nigga. They gay and they cutting off their dicks." And
you need to send him like a test picture in the email of Hitler saying "Ho ho Holocaust" just to see if he's cool with it.
They don't know who Hitler is.
So you're already in good.
Look, Namibia. Okay, this was a famous story, but Namibia, which was a former colony of Germany, like way back when, the 1800s, elected someone to a position called and he was literally named Adolf Hitler. He was like a black dude. And they asked him, like, why did your parents name you that? And he's like, they like the name. Don't they know about Hitler? Who? I'm the only Hitler that I know besides my family.
I just really like they love the name. They thought it just rolled off the tongue.
It's very catchy. It's very memorable. So no, the Africans are blessed in a lot of ways. They really are poised to take over.
Well, I mean that sounds like the next innovative. I'm looking forward to what would the URL be? If you went to Rwanda, it'd be what, RW?
RW.
And what would be another good one down there? I keep seeing your chat saying Niger because they just want you to call it NiggerNet. That's what they want you to call your fucking website.
Well, there's Niger, there's Nigeria, there's Seychelles, the Central African Republic, Namibia. Namibia is NA. South Africa is, I think, just SA. You have Botswana. I think that's BW. I know all the top level domains. It's been ingrained into my memory at this point. But no, Rwanda would be a good choice because it has some infrastructure. Seychelles also has some infrastructure. But I mean, a lot of Africa is just very undeveloped. Nigeria is. A lot of people don't know this, but Nigeria has something like 600 million people living in it. And
Does it really?
Oh, it's a big country. It's it's an up and comer in terms of like population and resources. And it's a big shithole, but they have internet there. So NG I think is Nigeria, and NI is Niger.
Are they going to give the Indians a run for their money with tech support scams? You think?
I mean, they probably already do. They speak English there. I think is part of the reason why they're so developed is because they were a English colony instead of a French one. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure. I do know that China is trying to set up shop in Africa, though.
Oh, they've been doing that forever. Yeah, that's that new neocolonialism. They know where the resources and consumers are. Yeah, they're going to sweep down there and make a pretty penny.
They want to make Africa their China. They want to start exporting shitty jobs to Africans.
Put the suicide nets outside of their phone factories. Yep.
Exactly. They want to be the old U.S. and they want to make Africa like their factory workers and stuff.
So, how do you feel about it? I mean, it's been like 2 weeks of all this hectic shit going on. Obviously, it's stressful, but like, do you feel like you've got a handle on it? Is it still really up in the air? Like, how confident or comfortable are you with everything that's going on?
My greatest concern is about like a frame job. I'm concerned about the legal implications, because even though I know the site doesn't do anything illegal, that doesn't mean that the government can't find a reason to go after you. But I have 4 lawyers right now, and I have a lot of attention on me and a lot of goodwill from people who would help me out in that situation. And I know from 8chan, Jim Watkins, after the insurrection, after the QAnon shit, walked into the Congress and walked out a free person. And I know...
Yeah, but let's be frank here. Watkins was renting server space to the fucking CIA, so he probably had established fucking relationships.
Well, if that's the case, I don't know if that's the case. I've not heard anything.
That is. Him and Hot Wheels talked about it on a video they deleted.
Are you referring to the IPs? Because the IPs that they had with the Department of Defense, that's a common misconception.
No. They were talking about renting server space, giving server space.
I don't know.
I know I heard it. And I know somebody's got a copy of that video that's out there somewhere. I bet you fucking Frederick would probably confirm it too, because he hates Watkins now.
I mean, maybe, but I like the site is so much less political, and that's a big thing in his favor. That's another thing that's like a huge sticking point in this, is like, it's not a political website. We're not trying to enact political change. The trannies that we're making fun of, we're not making...
To be fair, Josh, what about the subforum you run that's called Insurrection, Let's Overthrow the Government? It seems to be the most popular one on the site.
If you go directly to the .ru version and scroll down, there's that board in all Cyrillic text that says meddling in the 2020 election affairs.
Your chat is annoyed. It's a throat lozenge chat. That way I'm not coughing all the time. They're wondering what I'm chewing on. Not potatoes. Potatoes would be delicious though. God knows I've got enough of them. But yeah, so you're worried about it like a frame up. Are you worried it'd be a frame up on you personally or on the website?
On me. I think that I am the one that keeps the site up. There would be no replacement for me. So if you had like safeties off and you can do whatever you wanted, then that would be the obvious answer.
No, are you concerned at all? Because based on how Keffels and all of them are acting, and based on how these journalists are acting, are you concerned at all that they're going to try to find you in real life? That they're going to start Josh hunting to try to get like some ambush interview of you walking out of, I don't know what the fuck you have around you, pizzeria, whatever.
There's a really good KFC that's near the university in Belgrade. I go there sometimes.
No, see, what you should have said is you should have picked the shittiest gang territory and been like, this is where I am. This is where you need to come and wear these colors and say these things to find me.
When the Bloomberg journo shows up and, with his rainbow flag pin and stuff, it'll solve itself no matter what gang territory you find yourself in Serbia. Yeah, I mean, like, that's a concern. Like, here's a true story. My lawyer called me, and I shit myself because I see his number, and it's like 201, which is the Washington, D.C. area code. I'm like, oh, this is the call from the CIA to shut down the site. I pick it up, and I answer, and I go, hello? And it's my lawyer, and he's like, hey, Josh, I just want to let you know that there's a Bloomberg journo digging through my trash right now, and she's called up all the people that I've represented in the past. And I'm just letting you know it's not an issue, but that's happening.
Oh, seriously? Digging through his trash?
No, I made that part up because it's funny. But she was
Oh.
calling. She was calling up all the old. It's like Marjorie Maggie or something with Bloomberg, a Bloomberg journal, not like some weird independent schizoid fucking shithouse, newspaper. Bloomberg journal. Harassing my attorney because they don't want him to represent. They don't want me to have legal representation. That's how far gone they are. They don't forget freedom of speech versus like hate speech. You don't deserve to have a fucking attorney because we hate you.
Have they tried going after? Well, you have like Kiwi and all your companies separate entities. Have they tried personally going after your bank stuff? Like, are they trying any underhanded shit with finances or the law or any of that to try to like fuck you where you are?
I mean, I'm sure that they could. I'm sure that they've thought about it.
Because all I hear from little Nick Fuentes is how the government, when it's angry at you, will take away everything and shut your bank accounts down. So I'm wondering if like that's actually going to happen, to somebody and not be a make believe story like his, where like Keffel's, I don't know, calls up. I don't even know what a Serbian bank would be called. Let's call it Serbia One. Calls up Serbia One. Is like, excuse me, can you shut this bank account down because this guy called me a fucking troon?
I mean, they would have to call up Satoshi Nakamoto and be like, "Hello, Moshi Moshi, you have to shut down this crypto wallet because that's where the money goes." Yeah, they have. There is Frederick is the one that goes after the money all the time. I know what he's tried to do, but I mean, so far it's just like it's legal. It's a legal website, and it's not politically aligned, so it's harder to say like when the January 6th shit happened, there was a lot of momentum to get 8chan shut down. They got hit in a lot of different ways, but as far as like what I do, I'm squeaky clean, and I'm sure this is what satisfies me to a great extent is I know I have done nothing illegal. I know that I've done nothing illegal. I have no dirt out there that's not already out there. And I know that those fuckers are searching everything they can find, going through like leaked passwords, trying to log into my shit, trying to figure out if there's like something somewhere that I left behind that they can use to try and like humiliate me in some way. And I know there's not. And that is funny to me. Like when I get login attempts and shit, that makes me laugh. But yeah, financially, no. Thankful, like people have really stepped up with like donations and stuff, and I'm sure if I check my super chats right now, there's probably a lot that have just come in through that. But
yes, you don't fund yourself like I do with hats. You use what is it? You've got your donation thing down there, but you've got like you take crypto too, though, yeah.
It's mostly crypto for the Kiwi. Well, let me word it like this: I stream, and my stream income is completely separate from the Kiwi Farms income. The Kiwi Farms only makes money through crypto, and I occasionally twice a year I do merchandise runs. And I guess I'll just shill this very quickly because it's in production. I do have these already, and I didn't get an opportunity to do merchandise earlier this year, but I'm doing a patch run, and I have a bunch of like sew-on patches for when the bombs drop. And everyone can identify themselves because we need to identify troon or friend, right? So here are the sew-on patches. These are getting shipped out to my fulfillment center, and when I have everything fixed up, I will sell them. And I'm not sure on the price.
These you need to tell your customers because these are like a giant bullseye for trannies to hunt them in public.
No.
You put this patch on, and you're going to be tranny hunted through the mall.
I hope that if you have this patch on, it's sewed on to your gun holster or your carrying case. But yeah, that's my next. Last year I did the coins. This time I'm doing patches. A little bit easier. Small business out of the United States.
Where's the patch of Chris Chan fucking his mother?
I decided based on there's a long story attached to this, but when I did the silver coin run last year, there was a lot of problems, and I have decided that Christian Weston Chandler is cursed by God, and his image shall not be placed on any merchandise moving forward.
Yeah, his curse has really affected a lot of people, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, you think about it, the entire Kiwi Farms is a direct curse from Christian. His first Cursier Ha Meha had reverberations that resulted in where I am today.
No, and I'm still convinced that Ralph had the evil spirit that was inhabiting Chris, jump bodies into him when they crossed paths during that fucking film.
Yeah, you saw it in real life. You saw, if you like analyze it like one of those ghost hunters, you can actually see the specks of like light and dirt from Chris flying around in the ether, and it's looking for a host, and then just sees this like plump target standing there, barely stable on like the toothpick legs, holding up a selfie stick, and it's thinking, that's it, that's my boy right there. And
now with your patches, when you do the run, how would people get them? Because you got to tell them, tomorrow you could get nuked off the internet. How do they buy these patches if they need to when you're not around?
It will be on maddattheinternet.com. Don't go there right now. You'll just get the Cloudflare error.
Okay, there you go.
It will mati.live. I will be selling them when I have the opportunity. Probably won't even, like, they're still in production. I'm getting 1,000 of them. 400 are done so far. So hopefully at some point, October is my favorite month of the year. Hopefully by then I'll have the stability to put up the patches. The merchandise runs have been very lucky in that I've had no issues, despite Ralph. Ralph tried to get me fucking deplatformed from WooCommerce, selling shit on a WordPress blog. So I've been lucky with that. Knock on. Do I have any fucking wood to knock on? Here, knocking on my table.
There you go.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll stick around.
What are you selling them for? What's the price?
I'm not sure yet. Probably I'm thinking of doing 25 for the lot and having like a button to press for like a gratuity, like if you want to add 10 just because you want to. I think a lot of people will do that. Because a lot of people are encouraging me to, like, some guy is like, I sell patches at my store and they'll go for like $9 each. So you should sell them for like 50 each. But then I know how much they cost to make, so it kind of hurts to be like, yeah, you should pay me like way more than they cost to make. So it'll probably be about 25, add 10 if you want to.
Okay. And those are all the designs, or
yes.
Are there more designs coming in?
Oh no, that's the final designs. These 9, and you get all of them in the bundle.
Well, there you go. So if somebody comes to Serbia to hunt you down and you're running through the alleyways and you need that cash, go to miti.live to fund his escape from the Troon Squad.
Don't go there right now though, because it's down. You just get a message saying that this website's an imminent threat to human life.
Are you gonna print that out and like put that on like a framed
frame them? Yeah, I guess I could. Call engine
imminent threat. Yeah, every hour it does that. You want to start up one more?
Yeah, in about 10 minutes. Or I guess I could do it now, actually. Now would be the time, and then we'll move on to whatever the next thing is.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, let me hop out. You want to just send me the link?
Yep.
Okay.
You want my takedown mess? I guess I can make that merch. Is that copyright Cloudflare? They're gonna sue me for copyright infringement if I print their fucking blog post and throw that up on a merchandise site. Talk about Gunt. Maybe. Find some reason to make fun of him. Ask him about the SIGs. He's commented on that before. I don't know if he wants to talk about that. He said that he smokes because they can't say it's even smoking related, so he doesn't care. Why stop now? He's already sick. They published that post to your domain. That's a good counterpoint. Feels like it's my copyright if they put it to my domain without my permission, which is the biggest bullshit thing ever, by the way. I'll save that. Hello.
There we go.
Someone mentioned a good point. Someone suggested that I sell the Cloudflare error as a merchandise, and then I said if I did that, they'd probably sue me for copyright infringement. Which someone else replied saying that it was put on your domain, so shouldn't you have the copyright? I don't think that's how copyright works, but it is interesting that Cloudflare's decision to take down the site was also met with like replacing the site with a PR statement. And I think when they took down Daily Stormer and 8chan, they didn't do that. I want to say that we're the first site that they've taken down that they replaced with a statement explaining why they did. I could be wrong about that, but that's like, it's ridiculous that they felt the need to run damage control for their brand using my domain name. All of my domain names, by the way, not just
Yeah, that was weird because I don't think I've ever seen them do that before. Yeah, it didn't it redirect to their statement. It wasn't just that they
it didn't redirect, but it left a message with like a brief statement and then like a blog post to their official blog.
He's blogging on your website about how dangerous you are.
And I said good things about Matthew Prince. There's a Zero Hedge article called "Where the Sidewalk Ends" that I wrote, and I said that Matthew Prince was like one of the only people in big tech that was like worth a shit. I mean, you need more people like him. And then a year later, he hijacks my domain name and redirects it to his fucking live journal with an explanation of how he's feeling and how evil besets him on all sides.
Well, I mean, now he's fairly independently wealthy. I mean, he runs his company and everything. He's probably super rich. I'm just curious, like, if you had to make your best guess, who do you think it was that spooked him over the weekend?
Okay, so you have a couple options here. You have either A, it was suggested to me that the payment processors were threatening to stop processing payments for Cloudflare unless they dropped the site. That's option A. Option B would be Michael Yonka and the federal government. Option C would be general pressure from the outside and I'll lump this together, the campaign and or actually seeing something on the site that made him want to take it down. And then option D is the shareholders. And I would actually wager that they held like an internal poll with the largest shareholders regarding removing him as CEO if he didn't take down the site, and that is what was the threat. Because Cloudflare is publicly traded, and if you don't know this, in the United States, if a company is publicly traded, they must do what is in the best interest of their shareholders. A company cannot make decisions legally in the United States that are against the financial interests of the shareholders. They are legally obligated by the violence of the government to do whatever is as avaricious as possible for the shareholders. So all they have to do is say, we will take you to court. If they couldn't even, remove him, let's say he owned 51% of his company, they can say, we will take you to the SEC and say that you are not doing what's in the interest of the shareholders. The stock went down, but all IT stocks went down, but that doesn't matter. They can say this happened, and then coincidentally it aligned with the stock dropping, so we can make the prima facie case that he's not making financial decisions that benefit the shareholders, and that's criminal. That's criminal in the United States.
So you think that maybe like what is it called? Is it caucus belli? The looking for a reason for war thing. You think some of the stockholders? There we go. You think some of the stockholders had a previous issue with them and were looking for like, hey, this is a great way to fuck with them.
I mean, it could be I'm sure. Again, it's probably like everyone had their own reasons, but it could just be like IT stocks are going down, and it's like we want line go up, unga bunga, line go down.
Like option A doesn't work for me because the payment processors themselves are plugged into a bunch of websites that would have to use Cloudflare. So they'd be, just for their own services, they'd be fucking themselves over by kneecapping Cloudflare.
Well, let me rephrase that. Not the payment processors, the payment gateways. MasterCard, Visa Card, Amex, Discover.
Okay.
They are more powerful and more active in censorship than anyone could imagine. If I had one wish, I would make it so that those companies could not interfere with transactions at all and make decisions like that. Because if we could make it so that two people can exchange money over the internet without the government, or especially without, I'm okay with the government at this point because I can sue the government and say that my rights are infringed. I have no recourse whatsoever against financial institutions. They are private companies, and the reasons why they deplatform people is a trade secret. And there's nothing you can do to even get them to tell you why you're banned, because it's a trade secret. If I had one wish, that would fix the internet overnight, because I would be able to make money. I would be able to do whatever the fuck I want. I could lay my own fucking fiber optic if I wanted to. Like, if the site was genuinely making the money that it should be with the traffic that it gets, I'd be making probably $20,000 a month, and I could do literally whatever the fuck I wanted to, and nobody could tell me otherwise. But because I have to operate cloak and dagger and accept, crypto bucks that nobody even wants to buy because they're afraid of them. It really like only 5% of people bother to learn crypto. I get more donations in the form of Visa gift cards bought at Walmart than I do from cryptocurrency. and it's a shame, but people don't want to deal with it.
What if this? Wait, okay. Here's my conspiracy theory. What if this is the big hustle? Visa wants to sell their shitty gift cards, so they fuck with your ability to make money, so people can only pay you with their shitty gift cards.
They're making $5 a gift card. They're raking it in.
They found a way to do it
off my suffering. Yeah, it's
incentivized. Yeah.
That's if you're listening to this and you're like, ooh, I want things to get better. I'm not like black-pilled. Find a way to force payment gateways to process money. Any legal, ordinary transaction between two private entities should happen without the consent of any third party. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. There's a government service coming out literally called FedNow, which is like the worst name ever for anything. But FedNow is a Federal Reserve service, but the Federal Reserve is a private company in some ways. It's like owned in part by the government, in part by the bank. So it remains to be seen if the FedNow will operate the same way that the payment gateways do. But it will be a bank-to-bank service. So I will just, it's kind of like how Europe has IBAN numbers and BIC numbers for banks. It'll be bank-to-bank transfers. So if that works out, that would be a game changer. You would see so much innovation and new websites and new things coming out overnight if people could just accept fucking money from people who want to give them money. That's the biggest damper on freedom of expression right now. It's not even service providers. It's the fact that you cannot give people money that you want to give money to.
Yeah, I mean that's been if this happens, would you set up the Bank of Josh? Is that what so they could send directly to you?
I could literally, like, we have 16,000 people who logged into the site the day the .net was seized. I think you only need like $7 million to start a bank in terms of initial investment. So let's see, 7 million divided by 16,000, $430 each. I could do it. I could get a bank together if I really wanted to. And there's more people who don't even have accounts who would chip into, so that number is theoretically much lower. And some people would invest like 10,000 or 50,000. Some people would invest 50. It would even out. I could put together a bank, is what I'm saying. I cannot put together Kiwi Card because I've looked this up. To make your own Visa payment gateway, it's $70 million. Just for licensing. To get licensed in every state in the U.S. to be a payment gateway like MasterCard or Visa card you need $70 million. I don't even think you get that back, as opposed to the initial investment for a bank or a credit union. So yes, I will make a fucking bank. I don't give a shit. I'll figure this out. But I need this whole Discover can say you don't get to process money anymore bullshit to die. And the sooner that dies, the better we will all be.
So we talked a lot about the Keffel stuff, which I'm sure is the most prescient, right, and all the other stuff going on. But I figured for like the last hour, you want to talk about something more upbeat instead of a deranged tranny trying to hunt you down and like destroy you. You want to talk about I don't know, some of your favorite personalities from running the site, some of the shit that you've liked the most.
And geez. I've talked about how I've locked the threads on Keffels and a lot of the people in the Drop Kiwi Farm stuff, because I realized at some point that Keffels read his thread so much that if somebody posted something, it would get retweeted by him in minutes every time. It's so fast that I can't even believe that someone in his Discord sent it to him for him. Like, this has to be him screenshotting shit himself. However, there was one thing from everything that Keffel said that actually made me laugh out loud because it was so funny. and they're fighting with each other now because the thread's locked, so they can't, and the site's down, so it's like they can't argue against the site anymore. Keffels got called out for calling people retarded, and Keffels came back, I swear to God, by saying, I'm mentally disabled and I'm reclaiming the word. Literally came out and said, I'm retarded, so I get to say retard. That was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's like, yeah, that sums it up. You're a retard.
Well, yeah, no, they're absolutely starting to eat each other. I think I saw the retard thing. Didn't they make like some previous statement about fucking a retarded girl, and that's what started it all?
Oh, geez, probably. Dude,
Keffel said something like, "I like fucking retarded girls because they're dumb enough to do it." Some statement that somebody dug up and got really mad about that started the whole retard shit.
If you look up all his tweets from just in 2021, he is the most sexually violent person you could possibly imagine. Like the words he uses to describe sex are just feminists say this, like, oh, sex is violence. All sex is violence. Like he is literally using sexual innuendo in a way that sounds like he's killing people. It's like saying, I'm better, I want to normalize fucking hot MILFs, and I want to fuck your mom is something that he goes to all the time. And then, of course, he also is obsessed with my mom. So it's like, okay, that's pretty obvious what you're doing there, buddy. He also said something really disgusting, like, real women are jealous of me because I have a vagina that you can smash your dick directly into my prostate, and I'll have an orgasm. And it's like,
yeah,
ew.
I saw that one. Yeah. Which is just, I never got it. Like the thing with the tranny shit that always amazed me was that it's lifelong dilation. It doesn't stop. If you don't keep the hole open, it closes. Like you're committing to like 2 hours of ripping a hole open over and over and over and over again. Like that's gotta drive you crazy. I'd go fucking insane.
Supposedly, it becomes less painful and less frequent over time to the point where they do it like once a month after a couple years. But yeah,
yeah. But see, every tranny I've seen talk about it always complains that if they don't maintain this rigorous dilation schedule, they lose depth. They lose structure. It tightens up too much to use. So like I don't know, but like even if it was just 2 years, right? I don't know if I could do it, man. If I had an open wound that I had to keep digging into every day for hours a day, I'd somersault off the roof.
Yeah, seems to be the popular opinion. It's like an earring piercing. A woman who get earrings, if they don't wear earrings every so often, it closes up, it scabs over, and then eventually becomes too narrow to put an earring into, and they have to get it re-pierced.
Oh, do you know what would be the most horrifying thing if you're a tranny right now? You just got your transition surgery, and you go to test out your new bits and parts, right? And then you get monkeypox. Could you imagine dilating with monkeypox?
I'm sure that's happened. It has to have happened somewhere.
It must be so bad.
Oh, okay. Favorites this year. Ralph is consistently entertaining. He's really stepped up to lighten the mood.
He really has, hasn't he?
He just like he's set himself up so that he has to be yelling constantly at something, because he considers himself, like, he copes about how everyone finds him disgusting, even the people who tolerate him, like Nick Fuentes, like, make fun of him for being a fat piece of shit. So he just says that I'm the heel. I'm like a real life heel. And it's like, no, that's like a wrestling thing. That's like men playing pretend to make money by making entertaining television. People just hate you. And he doesn't seem to understand that. So he acts like a cartoon character, but in real life. And it's...
Well, like the transformation over the last year has been really stunning. I mean, he went from a guy that wanted to fight anybody, right, and got 2 beatings, to the point where he wouldn't even go the aquarium guy, right? He wouldn't even go to the aquarium to confront him after saying he was going to. He'd always call people up, be like, "You're scared to have your name out there. You're scared to be known." And now he's like in hiding, like witness protection in Mexico, or wherever the fuck he is. It's just he's turned into this like caricature of a character. You know what I mean? And it's like that Sam Kinison yelling that he does. You're right, that like wrestling bullshit. It is entertaining. It's just very weird to watch. I don't know I don't know what he must. I think he's stuck in that mode. He must be like that off stream now too.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure that he's just awful to live with. I don't even want to think about. I don't like May at all because she's like a pedo horse, but like I'm sure that her life is just a living nightmare that never ends, and every day she wakes up and she just stares at the ceiling and you know what I mean? It's like waking up in jail and not having any reason to get out of bed. There's some complications going on there, so yeah.
But I mean, outside of big stuff, like like I know Ralph has his own sub forum now and stuff, and he kind of blew up with all his stupidity and stuff like Chris or DSP or Wings because they're kind of bigger names. But I mean, just throughout the history of the site, what would you say was like some of your favorites, like people that you came across and you're like,
oh
man, that's fucked up, or something like that really caught your attention?
Throughout the entire history of the site, way back when, the Deagle Nation stuff remains some of the funniest stuff that ever happened on the site. And the funny thing about that, it was that the guy behind it, Jan Rinkowski, he was like a MDE wannabe. He wanted to, he was in the area in Massachusetts near Sam Hyde and stuff, and he wanted to get in with MDE, and he put on like this fake lolcow thing. But it was so funny that even though I think all of us kind of knew that a little bit, that it was just a little bit too good to be true, it was still hilarious. And it was, I did a stream about it. It's really hard to sum up, but it was like a guy who.
Well, yeah, I know he is. Like I always found it to be like it was a bit, but the one thing that did confuse me about that was the Brianna Wu thing, because didn't they like have an incident where their car flipped and then they decided to just film next to it?
Okay, so in short, this was during Gamergate, which if you don't know was a thing like 10 years ago that nobody cares about anymore. And despite what anybody else may say, it was a thing about games, video games, and a tranny that has to this day not come out as a tranny named Brianna Wu. Was one of the big players in Gamergate. So Jace, who went by oh god, what was his parkour dude was his name. He was doing like a thing where it's like super cool deagle guy. He's got like airsoft pistols and he skates and shit, and he's a gamer and he smokes weed. He had a spat where he kept making videos kind of like how Sam Hyde does with what's his face, Hassan Piker, like just trying to get Brianna Wu to react to his thing. And he accomplished that when he had a real life car accident. He was driving and it was cold, it was Massachusetts, the road was iced over, his car flipped, and he instinctively gets out, pulls out his phone camera, and in character starts screaming about how Brianna Wu sabotaged his mom's Prius and got him driven off the road during an illegal street race in his mom's Prius, and how Brianna Wu was gonna get it, and how they're gonna street race to the grave, he said. And this got reposted onto like the Twitter, and Brianna Wu ended up on a show called The Internet Ruined My Life, where they played this they played this footage of Jan Rinkowski in character pointing a camera at his mom's Prius, screaming about street racing to the grave, and Brianna Wu had to do the line because it was the thing they all had to say during the show. After this ridiculous footage plays, they had to look at the camera and go, "The internet ruined my life." And it was beautiful.
Was that the same episode? Was she also, or was he also the one that had the bit about snipers outside the Gamergate snipers outside their house on rooftops and shit?
Maybe. I don't remember that part.
There were a couple episodes of this, if I remember right, but I guess sticking with the car thing, that I was like, oh, it's a bit, and then he's at a car wreck screaming about Brianna. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been so long now. I remember that I had an interview because after the car accident thing, I had an interview with a journalist, and we were talking, and I could hear him. It was on Skype to set the stage for how long ago this was. It's on Skype, and he was writing, and I could hear the pen grinding against the paper as he was physically taking notes about. Because again, this was 40 years ago, and this is an old man who still writes on pen and paper, physically taking notes. And I'm describing the Deagle Nation stuff. I'm procedurally going through it and itemizing it. And I remember exactly when he stopped taking notes, because he knew that it was bullshit. And he got Brianna Wu to not talk about it anymore. I mentioned that Jace's friend was Israeli, and he had gone to Israel with the intent of assassinating Bibi, the prime minister of Israel, with a crossbow that shot paper clips. And that was the moment that the journalist stopped taking notes because his suspension of disbelief had ended. And everything I said after that was not recorded by him on that pen and paper. I very distinctly remember this.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that video is stuck in my head because he was screaming so loud next to this car wreck, and like I think Wu at the time had like a fucking motorcycle, and he was like, "Did he?" Just oh fuck, man.
Yeah, he did a lot of God. That was good times, and the real punchline is that he had a troll sona that he also, because the easiest way for him to play off information about the character was to have a fake troll that was just him, relaying things that had happened and stuff that would not make sense for Jace to say himself. And his name was Deagle Dad 420. And I really liked Deagle Dad, and he was an admin of the site. His op went so far that I made him an admin of the site for a very long time, and I still miss him. He was a great guy. Here's the sad ending to that. After the car accident, when he was a child, he had seizures, and he hit his head, and the seizure stopped. And after the car accident, he hit his head again. He started having seizures again that were very debilitating. So it kind of put a halt in everything. It's really sad.
God, it's like some fucking it's like Gilligan Island silence or Gilligan Island science, right? Like an old TV show bet where like, oh yeah, you got a problem, bonk him on the head, and then get bonked again, and it happens again.
Yeah,
it's pretty rough.
The brain is mysterious, and that I know for sure is not a like a joke or whatever. Because I hear that and it's like, that sounds like bullshit, but he stood by it for years.
Now watch. There's gonna be a video of a car wreck of him screaming about Josh Moon and the fucking Kiwi Farms.
Oh no, did he transition? Is that Keffels? Is it the 10-year op?
He's so dedicated, you never saw it coming.
That would be funny. I would laugh.
So aside from Deagle Nation and that shit, I guess, what was the worst? If you had to pick a thread on a person that's been on the site, what would you say is the absolute worst piece of shit you've ever come across?
Worst piece of shit? I mean, the Zeusatus stuff is too easy. I haven't mentioned him in the stream, but Nick Bait.
Yeah, fuck, that's an old name.
Nick Bait, in case you're a little zoomy zoom listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, Nick Bait was a guy who had really, really fucked up teeth, and he was obsessed with anally raping this girl named Anna. And he was someone everyone thought was a troll. And this person actually had a lasting impact on how I treat people, because he would go on the internet and say, I'm a pedophile, I want to rape Anna, I want to have sex with children. And he sang songs about like dissecting children and wanting to fuck them to death and shit. And everyone just thought like, this is like a really bad like attention whore. And he had these really fucked up teeth that were like rotting out of his head. He was genuinely disgusting in every way, shape, and form. But everyone kind of blew him off as just being like an attention seeker. And then he gets arrested for molesting his nephew or
niece.
Yeah. And it goes to trial, and we have people from the site who go to attend the trial, and they say that her testimony was worse than anything anyone had speculated in regards to what he had done to her. Because he had said that he kissed her butt cheek or something, or ate her poop. It was like really weird shit like that. And the people that went there said that her testimony was like, it was way, way worse than anyone knew.
Well, yeah, because like Nick Bait was like I don't know what you call it, like a fecophiliac. Like he was
corpophiliac.
Corpophiliac. He was obsessed with shit.
Mm-hmm.
So here's this guy with like, yeah, all his teeth were rotting. And they weren't even just like, you have a bad cavity, right? Or the tooth looks like it's going to come out. Like these were teeth were like disintegrated and open, like, roots and shit. And he would eat poop and play with poop with his teeth like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I found out, like, oh, he'd done this stuff to his niece or whatever. I couldn't imagine.
I was corrected.
Half sister. Yeah. I couldn't imagine, the kind of like horror show shit that she had to endure with this sick fuck.
Like, there's pictures of him like in dresses and God. Speaking of, I have completely forgot about that. I've erased this from my brain. He also cross-dressed.
Yeah, it's a real interesting, isn't it? How that's
super
it's
interesting.
a common fucking thing that seems to pop up. Didn't he also film a video? Wasn't one of his legal defenses? Because I did a video on this. His legal defense was, I couldn't have molested her. I'm obsessed with shit. And didn't he film a video of him playing with poop and send it to the court?
Yes. His defense was literally that the story was inaccurate because he is so into poo that there was no poo involved. So therefore, it could not have been a real molestation, because if there was molestation, there would have been poo involved.
In fact, I've seen this video. I almost included it in the video I did, but there's no way. There's no way YouTube will let you put a video of a dude playing with shit up on the fucking site, even back then.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this. He got 20 years. He's still in jail, by the way.
Good. I hope he has a fucking rough time in jail.
Yeah, he's bad, obviously. And I can't even take credit for that. That was all Encyclopedia Dramatica that like passed the torch of all those logs and stuff from before the site existed. The Zeus say this stuff was bad. That doesn't need to be mentioned.
Yeah, I think by default everybody understands the Zeus say this shit is terrible.
Yeah, like recently 2 people that were like killing monkeys in Indonesia got arrested, and they're facing like 8 years for animal cruelty in Indonesian prison. And they put their faces out there, so they might die in prison if the inmates know about that.
Yeah, there's a weird, like, I stumbled on that on YouTube like 3 years ago. There's this really fucking weird group of people.
It's pedophile.
And it's all monkey torture videos though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really fucking bizarre.
It's pedophiles. That is how that's how they meet each other, because at the heart of pedophilia is sadism. It's about having control and inflicting pain on something that is defenseless. And it's they like the children more because it's a more complex brain, but they will do it to monkeys because monkeys are more like humans. And it's easier to put out monkey torture shit and say, hey, join our Telegram group, and that's where the CP gets shared. It's a pedophile thing.
That's even more disturbing. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out and it was so open too. Like you see the shit that gets flagged out on YouTube, and then there are all these monkey torture videos, and you're like, what the fuck is going on this website?
Oh, I mentioned that Nick Bait changed how I treat people. I never assume that if someone says that they're a pedophile, I always believe them. There's no joke. People don't joke about that.
I learned that lesson, I guess, after Amos Yee. The thing that confused me about him, right, is I thought it's way too over the top. And with Amos Yee, he had this weird thing where I can't remember what they call lawyers over there. But he's over in America saying all this outrageous shit about advocating for baby fucking, right? But when he was over in what country did he come from?
Singapore.
It's Singapore, yeah. He tried to say that his lawyer molested him. Yeah, he made an accusation that the lawyer molested him, and he was going to sue him. And I was like, okay, this all has to be bullshit, because there's no way, if he's an advocate for baby fucking, that he's going to be upset that the lawyer molested him. The lawyer, by the way, I don't know what he did, but he had a conversation with Amos, and that was the end of it. I'm sure he said, I'm going to sue the living shit out of you.
Yeah, if people don't know this, because this is also a long time ago. Amos Yee was a Singaporean guy that came over to the U.S. and he said, like, the age of consent should be abolished and adult-child relations should be legal. He got evicted from his apartment immediately after he made that video because it went viral. And a lot of people, myself included, thought that it was just like an attention whoring thing like Nick Bait. But sure enough, months later, he's arrested for possession of child porn.
Yeah, it was just, he was so over the top with it. It was really hard to believe somebody would be that outrageous about it. Like, who would go? I couldn't imagine a pedophile actually going, like, because he wasn't even saying stuff like, oh, I want to date like an 8-year-old. He's like, I want to fuck babies in the crib. Like, that's how over the top he was. And there's no way anybody is that insane. But apparently fucking Amos Yee is. Yeah, his ass is in jail now, isn't it? Or deported, one of the two.
I think it's in U.S. jail because he was a U.S. crime where he got convicted. I don't quote me on that. I don't know. It's a thing, and I learned this while hosting 9chan, is that they really get off on telling people the truth, and that's why I hate Vito and Mr. Girl. I will never have anything to do with them or anybody that has anything to do with them, because they come out and they say, I want to fuck kids. Just kidding. and or whatever, and it's like, no, you're telling the truth there, and then when people get pissed off, it makes you laugh because you know that you're not going to get shot for it, and then you reverse when it's like, haha, I'm just pushing the boundaries of free speech, I'm just an expression artist, haha. It's like, no, you're playing a game because it excites you. I know what you're doing. I see through this shit.
Yeah, so explain the veto stuff to me, because I see people. I know Masterson, but I'm not super up on veto. But I see people shit on him literally every day. So is he out there making those statements, or what is he doing?
Okay, Vito is an Italian Jew that lives in LA, and his Jewish friend Max Carson, also known as Mr. Girl, is another LA. LA, by the way, if I had a button, I've said this, if I could destroy LA and everyone living in it, I know there's some good people in there, but it's a measurement thing. If LA was just gone, the world would improve overnight, and we just have to make some sacrifices. I'm sorry, good people living in LA, but you're too close to the beating heart of evil itself.
It's a sacrifice you have to be willing to make.
Have to.
We all appreciate it. Yeah.
Anyways, so Vito put out a video saying I'm a pedophile, I like to fuck kids, and it's just a song, and he's done some stupid shit after. He put out like a video saying I hate pedophiles and I want to kill them, and he's like, haha, am I being serious? Am I just trying to make people upset? Is it art? Haha, I'm a Jewish artiste, avant-garde. Vito was his friend, and they've known each other since before Vito started appearing on the Dick Show. But the Dick Show, he started, and they got on after his claim to fame. By the way, Vito, he made one video reviewing Star Wars Episode 7 that did very well, and he also vaped Bella Delphine's bathwater, and that made like national headlines for whatever fucking reason.
See, I didn't even know all of that. I thought Vito was just like somebody Masterson knew or like associated with the show. But I swear to God, every fucking live stream I ever see, it doesn't matter who's hosting it. If Vito shows up, the chat will suddenly become kick fucking Vito.
Oh,
it doesn't matter what group it is.
Yeah. Mr. Girl also did a review. His thing before even the song, sorry, I forgot, is that he did a review on Cuties, the Netflix show that was about African girls coming of age and whatever. And it was just like very, like the shots, the way that the camera focused on the genitals of like the children dancing and stuff made it so that this was not a movie about coming of age girls. This was a movie about focusing in on like the genitals of children dancing. And there's a huge fucking difference.
This was on Netflix.
This was on Netflix to the point where Texas tried to indict Netflix for child porn.
You're telling me I can't get a fucking second or third season of Marco Polo, but they're gonna put this shit up on Netflix?
That's right.
That's such bullshit, man.
But Mr. Girl, Max Carson, did a movie review about how the show was about challenging sexuality and how he was sexually attracted to all the 12-year-old girls in it. But that's the point of the movie, is to challenge your perceptions. And this caused a lot of outrage because it was a gross, indecent statement, obviously. And then it caused him to have like this spiral where he was making videos like rapping about how he wants to fuck kids and shit. And he's like, haha, it's all satire. I'm just like a crazy dude. And I say wild things like Eminem did. And then he ends up on Destiny streams, and Destiny's like grooming this guy to be his fucking protege, which is why I will not talk to Destiny, because he's fucking gross. But his friend, Vito and Mr. Girl knew each other like a long time before this all happened. Vito, at around the same time, is vaping Bella Delphine's bathwater, ends up on the Dick Show as a guest because of the bathwater shit, and he hits it off with Dick because they're both LA weirdos now. Then he gets invited on again and again, ends up becoming like a third co-host, and now they reboot The Biggest Problem in the Universe with Dick Masterson and Vito. Vito is repugnant. He is one of those people who has a personality that everyone fucking hates, and and he's a huge attention whore. He will show up if I'm talking to Nick Rekieta. He will be in that chat for 3 hours straight, just saying terrible things about me, trying to get me to even acknowledge that he's in chat. And everyone is just like, ban fucking Vito, kick Vito. And he has a verified checkmark and shit because he has a big YouTube account from that one video he did years ago. And that's like his claim. That's what he likes to do. And then he goes on Twitter and says, I'm a pedophile and I don't touch kids. And so I'm,
is that shit that Ross was in? Virtuous pedophile?
Virtuous pedophile, yeah. He's like, as long as you don't touch kids or, do child porn or whatever, then it's okay. And then he walks it back and shit, and it's just like, I know what you're fucking doing. It's bullshit that passes in the LA club, but the normal people, you know, who have intuition about this. It's like we see what you're doing, and it's not funny.
And so Mr. Girl is okay. So that's Vito's relationship, but to Dick, I guess. But so Mr. Girl and Vito were friends then? They know each other?
They're friends. They're still friends.
No, but I mean they knew each other before. Like these were two guys that just okay. I didn't even know that. I thought I saw Mr. Girl pop up and suddenly started doing debates everywhere, but I didn't know. I guess who he was.
Yeah, well, that's the origin. He did the Cuties review. Before then, he did weird videos about beating his girlfriend or whatever, and he says they're all like art or whatever. But I think Vito promotes Max because they're friends. They have some kind of weird nepotistic relationship that's hard to explain. But Vito got his gigs first, so he's tried to promote Max while he can.
Do you think there's a third one that's even worse that nobody knows about? They're like, oh, this is our buddy, baby fucker 29.
I mean, it's
don't worry, it's irony.
It's gonna be I mean, at this point, it's like it's either gonna be Dick or Destiny. They gotta get the fuck away from these people. And Dick is like swinging the other way now, where he's like actively like trying to get Keffels on and shit with his show and correcting people misgendering Keffels. And it's like, oh.
Oh, well, the one that confuses me the most, I guess, would be Destiny, but that's less to do with, I guess, Vito and Mr. Girl, but more to do with like Fuentes.
It's more to do with Destiny trying to be like a fucking intellectual. Like, look at this guy. He's really pushing the boundaries of free speech by talking about fucking kids. Isn't it interesting how angry people get when he talks about how he wants to have sex with children?
It seems like he fucked himself, though, because like from my understanding, like Destiny was friends with Sneeko, Destiny was friends with Mr. Girl and shit. But it seems like all of those people are getting like copies struck or fucking struck off their platforms and shit. And it feels like that's coming from Fuentes' camp. It feels to me like Fuentes is grooming Destiny to be like a replacement Jaden, and I don't think Destiny's aware that this is happening.
I think that there's a lot of things that is coming from America First that will come out over time, and much more than just trying to groom Destiny. I think that because you know what's his face, Nick Fuentes' position is that crime is based and shit. I think that they're doing more than people know.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah,
Think it's them?
Yeah. I think AFers are up to some shit behind the scenes. Yeah. But nothing proof positive. I'd have to talk to Bake's handler. To get the inside track on that.
You have to file a Form 32J with Baked Alaska to get that handled by the proper OIG.
I'll have to go through my contacts, yeah, and be like, "Hey, can I talk to this handler? I have some fucking questions I need to get answered. You know, because I glow in the dark too, right? So I should be able to speak to other glow in the darks."
That's just because of the uranium rock.
Yeah. That's my undercover costume. They never saw it coming.
It's perfect. You walk into the room, and they don't even think. Like, why else would he be glowing? He's got to be.
Most people don't know this, but if you go into an FBI office or CIA, there's a black room at the entrance, and you're not let through the second set of doors unless you literally glow. So that's my way of getting in.
They walk in, and you're glowing, but he's like, that's weird. He's glowing, but he's not black. And he's like, well, he's Irish. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. Let him through.
I mean, the guy's glowing and stuff, but I suddenly have a really bad stomach ache and my hair's falling out. Are we sure this is the right kind? I don't know what's going on over here. So I guess aside from the horrible, shitty people, has there ever been a thread on somebody? Was there ever a thread that made you laugh like every time that you went into it, where you're like, "This is the most ridiculous shit"?
Yeah.
Somebody that would literally put a smile on your face based on how dumb they are or the shit they would engage in.
Oh, I'm gonna get shit for saying this, but Chantal. You don't know anything about her because she's a fat girl, but
are these the fat feeder girls you like to cover?
They're very silly, and the female locals, they're funny and they're harmless is the thing. They're not fucking kids. They're not like a danger to anybody. They're just like they're smoking weed and eating 4,000 calories of pizza and saying that they don't know why they're not losing weight. They can't understand it. It's like I'm looking at all the reasons. I understand why you're not losing weight.
How popular is she? Doesn't she have like a sizable following on like
huge? She's dude. There is a fucking ecosystem. Chantal is the big whale shark floating around, getting up all the pizza money. But there's like a whole ecosystem of little feeder fish around her that are there just to poach her drama and stuff.
It's like, it's it really become that big of a system around her?
Dude, the channels that make fun of the fat girls that are like YouTube safe, you got like Charlie Gold, and then there's like the gay guy. They have like 200,000 followers.
And it's just laughing at fat women eating pizza?
Yeah, it's just a gay guy going like, "Girl, you do not fit into that." And like everyone claps, and they run advertisements on it, and they make a shit ton of fucking money.
So is this like an offshoot of the mukbang shit?
Yes.
People are just.
Yes.
Is that when it became popular?
Okay, so the mukbang, Amberlyn Reed is one of them, but she was OG drama. She's like tame now because she doesn't like being embarrassed, so she doesn't share anything embarrassing about herself. Chantal is utterly fucking shameless. She will say the most vile, repugnant, repulsive, like off-putting things imaginable every stream and just laugh about it. So people find her like really fascinating just because they, especially with like, you know, like really lowbrow people who like the Jerry Springer crowd, they feel better about themselves because like, holy shit, at least I'm not her. And that's like a huge part of her audience, both like her actual fans and people who follow this. But yeah, they're just silly and they're good fun and they say stupid things. And every so often a clip comes out that's like hysterical.
So like, is she making like really good money off this? Is this like a career now for her?
It makes like $20,000 a month just eating.
Just being fat on YouTube? She's making 20K?
Well, she does a whole lot more. She gets knocked around by Egyptian men now. But look, her life took a little bit of a tumble, an oopsie doodle. She started by eating some cheese on YouTube, and then she had cancer because when you're fat as a woman, the estrogen causes complications. It increases your risk for cervical cancer. And when you're that fat, they can't just remove the cancer. They usually do a total hysterectomy and remove all your sex organs or reproductive organs. So she had a total hysterectomy, and then, you know, she's depressed because she's hitting menopause all of a sudden due to medication, and she can't have kids, and that's like a hard thing to reconcile with.
She must have like ballooned up even more then, right? Like,
yeah, she started smoking weed because she was depressed, and weed makes you hungry, so she starts eating out every stream. She gets really fat, and she gets really depressed, and then she ends up with trying to fill the void with like a dude, and she meets some Egyptian guy called Nader, who's like a crackhead wife beater, and she gets addicted. She's fat as fuck, but she gets addicted to coke and is doing meth and shit. And it's just like, it's fascinating because she literally just started out going, "Hey guys, today I'm going to be trying some chicken poutine." And then 3 years later, she's crying like, "Nadir punched me."
So is this like a race? Are people like doing betting pools on whether the overeating or the meth is going to win? Like, what do you think the end weight is going to be? Which side's going to pull?
There's death pools for it. We actually just recently, one of the fat ones died. Life by Jin died. She was very fat, and she was like 650 and bedbound, and she was obnoxious because she kept making these fucking videos where she was just like, "Hey guys, I'm losing weight, and you're just gonna have to trust me. I'm not gonna do any videos on it, and I'm losing weight, and I'm only eating 600 calories a day, like I said I would, and you're just gonna have to trust me." And she's been making videos like that, like despite gaining weight for 3 years, and then she just fucking dies from being fat. And it's like, yeah, well, we kind of figured you weren't losing weight eating your. Her meme food was that she made waffles out of cheese because she was always on keto, which just means eating a ton of bacon and cheese instead of anything with bread in it. So she called them chaffles, cheese waffles. And everyone made fun of her for stupid.
The whole thing is made out of cheese?
Whole thing made out of cheese. It's keto, so it's healthy.
So she's just eating cheese.
Yes.
How, like a pound of it?
Yeah, I think. It's just a bunch of cheese melted into a waffle shape, and then she eats it. Calls it a chaffle. Says it's healthy because it's keto. That's why it's funny.
Oh, I'm just like the smell of it. Like I can't. You know, there's certain things when you talk about them, you can kind of picture like an associated smell. And I'm trying to imagine what a 600-pound bedbound woman who doesn't bathe, eating nothing but fucking pounds of cheese smells like, and it must be hell.
Well, yeah, probably not that great. It's always the sad thing is about that is that her alcoholic boyfriend, she was with this really, really skinny guy, and he was like in a halfway house. He had issues with drinking.
Was he halfway out of the house because her fat ass took up the whole amount?
He was halfway out of the house because he was going to McDonald's. He was like the enabler that brought her the food that kept her fed and she couldn't move.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always somebody that wants to be helpful.
I mean, if you can't fucking walk, someone's feeding you.
He could have like helped her like get a harpoon stick and put like broccoli on the end of it. Be like, this is your meal. As he stands 10 feet away, you can't really do nothing about it.
Yeah, that's a shame. The world is less funny without her and her chaffles.
Now, did they make a sandbox out of her ashes? Because if you're 600 pounds, that's a lot of fucking shit, right?
See, that's mean. That's just mean spirited.
Are there children playing in her remains that don't know that?
I hope not.
So you're big into the feeder scene, huh?
Yes, I like the women who are just silly and are not hurting anybody. It's a change of pace. That's why I like the beauty parlor and I like the girls there, and I try to keep them segregated from the vile shit that surrounds them, because they have no other place to talk about these things. They can't be mean anywhere else. They get banned.
So the chick, Chantel, is with an abusive Egyptian. Is he
Yes.
actually from Egypt, or is he just
Yes.
Egyptian?
No, he's from Egypt.
Oh, is he like a immigrant?
Yeah, first generation. He barely speaks English.
So she's with him, and he uses coke. You said?
I think he did meth and coke. Yeah, and it's really obvious because he does that thing where he like pokes at his nose.
So some methed out Egyptian that barely speaks English stuck with this fat woman, and are there fight videos? Do they have fight videos that are up?
No, but they're okay. Oh god, this is so hard to explain. Nadir has this old friend named Didi. Didi and him obviously fuck. This has been obvious from the first time that Didi has ever been mentioned, even offhandedly by Chantal. People tell Chantal he is fucking her, and she's in denial for months. And then eventually she finds out, and there's like this breakup and get back together shit that happens all the time. And then eventually says, "Hi guys, I'm bisexual and I'm in a polyamorous relationship with Didi and Nadir." And then that falls apart because she fucking hates Didi. There was one time she took a vacation to Cuba and got wasted off Cuban rum and was just like screaming drunk into the camera saying, "I fucking hate Didi. I hate that fucking bitch so fucking much," just like seething about her. So there's no reconciling this with some weird polyamorous threesome happening. Chantal finally breaks up with Nadir some time ago, and then weeks after, there's a video of some guys on Facebook face talking to Nadir, and then Didi says something to him, and he takes it as an insult. She says something about him being a coward or something, and he goes, "Bitch, I am not scared. Bitch, I don't scare. I don't scare, bitch. I eat people. Bitch, I don't scare." And he gets up and starts beating the fuck out of her. And you can just hear her screaming in the background, and it's horrible. And it's like, if that's what he's willing to do on camera, like, imagine how that is behind scenes.
Was it like that Indian talk show where he bitch slaps the fucking female host, and it's like, how can she slap? Have you ever seen that?
No, that's.
Oh, it's this woman insults him, and he's just backhands the fuck out of her, and everyone rushes to stage, and all he does in a broken Indian accent is scream, "How can she slap? How dare she slap? How can she slap?"
Oh, it's a woman that hits the anchor, and he freaks out.
Yeah, but then he returns the favor.
Oh,
yeah, and that's what everybody's like, "Oh, that's over the line."
I mean, it's a woman. She can't hit that hard.
He wasn't having any of it. He just right back at her.
It's Pakistani. You know how they are.
Oh, so you like the fatties and the fatty world that exists, but I mean, isn't that gonna that's self-limiting entertainment? Aren't they all gonna die from a coronary in like 2 years?
Oh, there's plenty of fat people willing to debase themselves on YouTube for money and fame. That's a renewable resource.
And this is, you stalk the channels watching them?
I sometimes I watch them, but I mean, okay. I will say this: like Chantal just laying on the bed, looking at her camera and like mumbling about stupid shit while high, is legitimately better background noise than Ralph. Like Ralph's streams are just insufferable to sit through.
I can't watch them. I have to watch people clip them. They're way too fucking boring. It's a lot of dead air and a lot of just blank stares.
That's why I end up relying on the IP2 people who are insane, because they can sit through like literally days of content to find like the 30 seconds of shit worth watching, and they do that with Ralph, and like so much of his stream is just filling up time waiting for super chats and shit.
Yeah, like he's doing like 10 or 12-hour streams now. I don't, and like I don't know how fucking clippers sit through it. I like the IP2 stuff though, because they are just a never ending. I'm still waiting for Blade's fucking leg to fall off, which I'm sure eventually is gonna fucking happen.
The last of the IP2 stuff I heard about was Andy Dick butt fucking some dude.
Yeah, he raped a dude. He butt fucked a guy when he was like half drunk and asleep, and then it became a big thing. But he's still around. And then I mean, Andy Dick also was like held hostage by a crazy guy that had a gun. You know, it's like all IP2 shit. And then Blade's out there with his leg rotting off, and you've got Attila, and I can't remember her fucking name, the crazy bitch that got pregnant and had a kid.
Yeah,
So,
I know who you're referring to. That's Attila's girlfriend.
Yeah, like they've had fight videos where like just screaming and beating the shit out of each other.
Well,
And
CPS took
somehow-
her kid, like right. See, this is my thing: is that these people like Chantal is like incidentally funny, and Ralph is like incidentally funny to like what they're doing. These people are only on stream because they know that their life is a train wreck, and people financially support them to continue to ruin their own life. And it's literally like bum fights. It feels kind of dirty to enable this ecosystem.
Well, there was one guy that I don't even know if he's still around. I watched a little bit of it, Tommy or whatever. That was the one that Gucci's made fun of because he always like a mama's boy, so they kept making fun of him saying Tommy's mommy. But like there were like he would like do live streams in the desert where he'd take his broken car and just drive around in the middle of nowhere. I guess hoping it wouldn't like shit out on him. And then he'd get back home and his mother would yell at him for taking the car out. And I kind of wonder like what happened in that dude's life where like he can't do anything without his mother up his ass every second of the day.
Oh, he didn't get a job and move out.
I don't know. Like it just
that's what happened. He didn't get a job and he didn't move out. He's probably not got a dad. He didn't have work ethic and he doesn't click. I can literally just go work at Taco Bell and I can get the fuck out of here. For some people that never clicks, I'll tell you this: if you're like a loser and you're listening to this stream, get a job. When I was 19, I worked.
If you're a fucking loser, get a job. All right.
No, literally, it's good advice. I got a job at Whataburger. It was a shit job. I didn't get paid enough. It was a 45-minute commute each way. But I have some of my best memories is working at fucking Whataburger and hanging out with people there and the stupid shit that happened and all the like interpersonal politics. I went from being like a mute, shy autist that couldn't raise his voice to like running around with like friends and having a girlfriend and screaming like out orders and stuff. It really changes your worldview. If you are like a sad, lonely person and you're angry and bitter, get a fucking job. Especially
I like how you threw like the girlfriend thing in there. So now they're all gonna think that like Whataburger is a pussy palace. Like if I get a job at Whataburger, I'm gonna get laid.
I mean,
clearly that only happens at Denny's. You should send it to the right restaurant.
I mean, I was a teenager. That's where teenagers work. Why not? You know, I guess if you're like 30, don't. It's already too late for you.
Don't try to get a teenage girlfriend at Whataburger. Yeah, that's
if you're like
advice.
If you're like 24, don't try to date like a 16-year-old that's working at Whataburger. It's a bit creepy.
What happened to your job, Bob? Well, I tried to date the teenage fry cook, and they all threw me out of the fucking front door. I don't know why.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're a teenager, it's not too late. You can unfuck your life. If you're over 30 and you have nothing, just don't try to hurt anybody on your way out.
Is your advice find a bridge overpass? Is that what you're telling them?
Not a bridge that's over traffic, though, because that'll hold up people going to work.
Don't inconvenience the commuters. Oh, you're so thoughtful.
Like those Japanese people. You know how rude that is? There's a reason why they fine their families for holding up the fucking train. People got to go to work.
God, could you imagine? There's a knock on your door and your fucking kid or your husband or wife or whatever killed themselves, and it's a cop.
It's not even the cop. It's the train authority that beats the cop.
Tab.
The cop's on the elevator coming up. I ran up the stairs. Here's your bill, bitch.
Yeah, that disposal fee plus tip. Yeah, it's going to cost a lot. Oh, speaking of dead people in Japan, so this near thing I've heard people going back and forth on. So your contention is that the Japanese government releases a list, right, of any foreigner that dies in the country. I mean, that's confirmable, isn't it?
Yes. Okay. Real quick, guy, emulator developer, Bu, also known as David Kirk Ginder, I want to say, which is very close to David Kirk Johnson, who many other people also may know. I think that's his name. Anyways, he is in Japan. He's an emulator developer. He has lots of money. Emails me one day and says, "Take down my thread, or I will accept $100,000 cash to do so, or I will kill myself." I tell him no, and then I wake up and there's a huge thing because some guy, Hector Martin, published a suicide note saying I killed myself because of the kiwi farms, and he lived in Japan, and this was published as fact. And NBC News contacted his employer who lived in Hong Kong, and the guy had an urn with his name on it. And so NBC says this is confirmed true. There's no reason that this guy can lie. And he does have an urn, so it's true. And therefore, in the way that the circle of journalism and Wikipedia and shit
Wait a minute. Didn't this exact same thing happen with CRP? Didn't somebody send an urn with his fucking quote unquote ashes?
No, that was Bu's urn with the coach's name photoshopped on it.
Oh, was it?
He really, yeah. Deep lore. I remember that because that did get circulated as being his urn. Okay, so yeah, urn fake or like true. Everyone accepts it as true. We're talking about it, and people are saying some genius comes out of nowhere and says, I happen to know for a fact that the Department of State publishes a biannual report of all the deaths of American citizens living overseas for each country. So we think, okay, we'll wait 6 months. 6 months comes, and there was a suicide in Japan that month, but it was before the emails, so it wasn't view. And then after, there were no deaths of American citizens in Japan for that entire period. Another 6 months come by, and the narrative then is this is like a clerical error. It didn't get reported. They'll update it next report. Next report comes by, no deaths of any Americans for the entire calendar year after Bu said that he was going to kill himself. And they say, well, that's preposterous. Americans had to have died. There's no way that no Americans died in Japan for that entire period. It's just a paperwork thing. There is no fucking way, and anyone who's ever dealt with the Japanese will know this, there's no fucking way that the super anal, retentive paperwork monsters of Japan would fail to report the death of an American citizen to their counterparts in the Department of State. There's no way that that's going to happen. So as far as I'm concerned, he's not dead. The other thing is that they used an urn as proof that he was dead. And the urn went to his boss, like a coworker that did contracts with him, and not his common law spouse in Pennsylvania. And the other thing is that, if you don't know this, Hong Kong is a big city, and it's also south of a really, really, really big city called Shenzhen. Shenzhen is the one.
Wait, actually a second. Wait. If he has a common law spouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't she have to report as being widowed if he was dead? Is she still reporting as being married?
He was gay married to another non-binary, and I think that they had separated before he died.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know exactly what the details with that, but it did go to his coworker, and there was some excuse why the other person didn't receive any news about it. But Shenzhen is just north of Hong Kong. It's one of the biggest ports in China. It is a city the size of a warehouse, the size of a city. You can get anything that you want in Shenzhen. Not that urns are particularly hard to get anywhere. They're not like a regulated thing that you need a license to have an urn printed. But now I'm pretty sure that not only could you find like an urn and get it engraved whatever the fuck you want in Shenzhen, I'm pretty sure you could probably find like real human cremains to put in the urn to make it look super authentic. So there's no fucking way that this guy is dead. He's laughing at me, and he got away with extorting me, basically.
So, what is he doing then? Because wouldn't he have to lay low, not to draw any attention to him, and be, quote unquote, dead?
He said that he had like a lot of money. He had like $100,000+ in savings. He's basically a genius when it comes to low level programming and assembly and shit. Like, he can just rebrand as somebody else. I'm pretty sure he probably already had an ID lined up way before the suicide so that he could just start using that immediately. And by the way, nobody had any picture of him, and nobody had his name. His thread was just Bu, or Near, the developer. We had no idea who he was. And then he published his own picture and his own name. He did not give any government ID to confirm that this was him and his picture, so that could be scrutinized, even though he promised that he would do so in his suicide emails. And then he just disappears. So as far as I know, that picture could be, this person does not exist.com. It could be a fake name. and he's just rebranded as some other shit and is doing something else and laughing at the drama. He could be Keffels. I really don't fucking know who he is.
Do you think this is like a Vordrak Depop? Do you think he's he adopted the identity of a?
Vordrak is not smart enough to backwards engineer the Nintendo 64 CPU. This is definitely a weird guy, like avant-garde.
Maybe he's super committed, and you've just not been giving him the credit he deserves.
That's possible. I'd be very impressed if that was the case.
I'll teach you, Josh. I'll show you. It's fucking learning shit you never thought.
Yeah.
So if it comes out like a month from now and somebody's like, "Oh, he's alive. This is him," what do you think that's going to do to Keffels and all their bullshit?
Nothing. Because
they'll just ignore it.
They will say that this person was so traumatized by the Kiwi Farms, he faked his own death to get away from it.
Yeah, anything to switch it up, right?
Yep, and it will keep chugging along. That's an acceptable narrative. That's like fuse blown, pull the fuse out, plug a new one in, machine keeps turning.
And didn't they also, wasn't one of the suicides they attributed to you guys, one that was at the hands of the trans community? Wasn't one of them driven crazy and lit herself on fire or something?
So there are four that are attributed to us. There's Bew. There is Chance Carmichael, who also goes by 600 going on 700. He was a person who aspired to be the world's fattest person. He died of obesity-related complications. His family blamed us. Go figure. I don't know how that works.
Were you sending him Oreos? How did that work?
No, I don't think so. In fact, everyone liked Chance because he joined the forum and said, like, I'm a fat dude, I eat whatever the fuck I want, and I'm super happy, and you losers are just sitting here watching me. And everyone thought that was like the best possible thing ever. Everyone liked him from that response. He was completely untrollable, so I don't know how the fuck we got blamed for that. The other one was the one that you're referring to. There was a saga where there was a charity called Trans Lifeline, and Trans Lifeline was basically a scam. It was ran by Nina Chabul and Greta Gustava, who were both trans, and it was supposed to be like a emergency hotline for suicidal people who were trans. And basically, they kept posting about taking trips and going to places and buying all this shit. They were living very luxuriously. So people were tracking this and reporting about how the operators were not trained. I got documents from Trans Lifeline from people in there defecting saying we are not being trained. There's nobody on the calls. This is our training material for helping someone back away from the ledge is a PowerPoint presentation. We have no idea what the fuck we're doing. And this all came together. We put it together. We put it out there. Nobody gave a fuck because it was from the Kiwi Farms. That was brushed aside as transphobic. And all this information about inurement and embezzlement was getting put out there. Nobody cared until the real enemy of the trans community came out. Buck Angel, a female to male transsexual, said, this is fucked up and you guys have to answer these questions. And that literally caused Nina Chabul and Greta Gustava to get kicked out by their own board of directors. And they reported under penalty of perjury, under oath to the IRS, that Greta Gustava and Nina Chabul inured $350,000 of charity money into their own personal accounts. And through other expenditures. Yeah. And we were all right. The Kiwi Farms is right. They changed everything up. I think people now actually answer the phones at Trans Lifeline. And it was only because a female to male who was not going to play, ball with their bullshit called them out on it, using that information that happened. However, one person who was a frequent caller who did complain actually about how there was nobody who would answer the lines. And sometimes the operators would just get frustrated because they didn't know what to do and hang up on you if you were saying you were going to kill yourself. And they left a suicide note saying, I don't want to live in the world with Donald Trump as president and Kiwi Farms around. And that was their statement. Greta Gustava tried to push this and say that we were responsible for their deaths. And the widow, who was also trans, said, don't you fucking dare use my spouse's name as a weapon against the Kiwi Farms because you guys are more responsible. And Greta actually ignored that and kept trying to use them for weeks after the fact, to the point where the widow got blocked on the Trans Lifeline Twitter or Facebook page for continually calling them out for it.
But that was the one that didn't they lit themselves on fire?
No, that was Chloe Segal. Chloe Segal had severe problems. They were basically ostracized from the trans community because they did a GoFundMe for like their father's cancer or something, and they got like $35,000, and then they just lied about the whole thing, and they got a sex change operation with it. When this came out, it made a lot of people really angry. They wanted their money back and shit like that, and they basically had no friends. They were basically excommunicated by the trans community, and from what I understand, they brandished a machete at their roommates at some point, and their roommate said, "Why don't you commit yourself for 72 hours voluntarily?" Which Chloe did, and then when Chloe returned to the house, they had changed all the locks on the building, and left their shit outside. So Chloe was homeless for about 2 weeks. They put out more fundraisers asking for help because they were homeless. Nobody gave them anything, like literally $0 fundraisers. And like Chloe was like yelling at people for help, got 0 likes, 0 retweets, and then they set themselves on fire in a park. And the witnesses for the statement said that their last words were about houselessness and mental health care in the U.S. Nothing about the Kiwi farms. But Chloe Segal gets brought up to this day as a thing that the forum caused.
So how are any of these really pinnable on you guys then?
It doesn't matter. They're dead. They can't correct the record. They can't say
you have one that's not confirmable, one that's obviously related to just being overweight, right? And then 2 that seem to be involved in some kind of embezzlement that led to a situation that brought about their suicides.
Yeah, and the other one, and this is more iffy, is Julie Terryberry. Julie Terryberry, who by the way, people in mainstream publications like fucking AP, they say that Julie Terryberry was trans. Julie Terryberry was not trans. Julie Terryberry was a real woman. Julie Terryberry hung herself with a belt, and her story is very sad. She was adopted, I want to say, and she only had good relations with her grandmother. She lived in a shed in Canada with her boyfriend, who was 10 years older than her. And they started dating, I think, when she was 16, which is like as young as you can be to have sexual consent in Canada, with this guy older than her. And he puts her into porn and shit. He's putting her on Pornhub and like pimping her out as a cam girl to make money. And then, because she's in porn and she doesn't have anybody else, when he says that he wants to leave her or threatens to, she says, "If you leave me, I'll kill myself." And one day he left her and she killed herself. And he joined the forum and blamed us for it.
How the fuck does that work?
Because he felt guilty, so he tried to shift the blame on the forum, and it worked because more people are angry at me than him.
Yeah, this isn't this is all pretty weak, man. You'd think that some journalists would be like, I don't know about this.
Jesse Signal, the only one.
Was that the one that did the podcast with a woman? I think I heard this on a Destiny stream where he was listening to it, where he talked about trying to track down the person that went outside of Keffel's apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to that. He seemed not to buy a lot of this shit either.
Yeah, he's like the most high profile journalist who's countering any of the signal, but it's like, I don't know how much it's going to help. It is interesting to see that there is some integrity out there in the journalism sphere. I don't even think Jesse, I don't know much about him. I think he's like left. I think his co-host is trans even. Please don't quote me on that because I don't know.
I have no idea who either of them are. I heard his reporting when he was talking about I'm trying to track all this shit down and saying that, like, Keffels has this history of being a shitty person, and a lot of this didn't add up, and it doesn't seem like it's related to Kiwi Farms at all. And the big thing he brought up is, why is Keffels going after Kiwi Farms about docs when the docs related to Keffels showed up on a secondary site first?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about how we're swatting them is just wrong, demonstrably wrong. There's no proof. I would not condone it. Nobody would condone it. People like, nobody finds that funny. Nobody on the site finds that funny.
Yeah, but again, what about that subsection you have called "Here's How We Swat People" that's only visible to members? How do you explain that, Josh?
It's like nauseating to read the articles where it's like Kiwi Farms, a website synonymous with swatting. We're synonymous with swatting because you keep publishing these fucking articles lying about us. That's why we're synonymous with swatting. It's not because of anything. There's not a single fucking post that any of those motherfuckers can put into their article that back up what they say. They just say it and that becomes the truth as far as like the public is concerned.
So do you think it's starting to peter out? Like with Keffels, it's like this figurehead or this mask or whatever. I seem to see that most people find them fucking obnoxious. Do you think it's starting to finally lose steam, or do you think they're still chugging along?
It's number one. It's splintering. It's splintering, and it's I've noticed this firsthand. is that a lot of people are unhappy with the fact that you do have a broad rainbow coalition of people of all walks of life who are trying to take down the site because they find it offensive for various reasons. But who is the person who makes the money? Who is the person who gets the clout? Who's the person who takes credit every time it happens? Keffels. Ironically, you have a coalition of people who are women, female to male, male to female, black, Jewish, all over the board, and it's the fat white Italian dude who's sitting around getting all the fucking money for it. So a lot of people are offended on that regard, is that like you have people who have literally tried to take down the site for years who have actually accomplished something, while Keffels has done literally nothing besides taking credit for it. And they, I mean, that's like a natural human instinct. You don't want to feel like you've been swindled, that your effort was worth nothing because someone else just stole it from you. So that's a natural fragment in the movement. It's petering out because there's only so much you can do. The site, the actual scenario, the situation that we're in is that the site is not illegal. My companies are in the U.S. My bank accounts are in the U.S. My servers are in the U.S. If the site was illegal, the federal government can march into my data center and take my shit anytime they want. In fact, they've already marched into my data center. So I know that they're around. I know that they're paying attention, and I know that if there was something that they can indict me with, they probably would have already done it. And now they are going down the list and they're trying to figure out who can I like annoy into taking something down that the site actually needs to stay up. And they're running out of options. The site is has found, like, right now on the front end of the Kiwi Farms, there is five or six different servers on 5 or 6 different hosts, and I've put them up, and that's how, if you access the site, you access them through them. So, and it's very easy. If you just type in NS lookup, you get a list of IPs. You put one of those IPs into a Whois database, and you will see who owns it, and you can send them an email if you want to. And so far, to my surprise, I bought 6 because I thought that all of them would drop in an hour. I have like a Shinjaru, which is based out of Malaysia. I have Alex Host, which is based out of Moldova. I have Visas, which is based out of Ukraine. I have one in the Netherlands and one out of the U.S. And they've all stayed up so far. And I'm keeping. I know that anything I put on .net will get the most shit. So I haven't put .net live yet. I'm kind of like testing it and fine tuning my setup to make sure it's ready. But I'll be interested to see what happens with that. The main issue is simply the application level filtering. I need to figure out a good way to do DDoS filtering for just like regular attacks on the network. And I need to get my network fortified. So I think once that happens, once I'm more happy with my router setup, then I'll move. Sure. I'll put it back on .net and see what happens with the proxies and stuff.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see which way it goes. I know you've been fucking running all over the place the last 2 weeks dealing with all this shit. I mean, and it's been weird to watch. I think it's pretty telling to watch who's come down on each side of this. You know what I mean? Because there's some people before they were like, I love Kiwi Farms, but now they're like, this is great, fuck them, you know. I just don't want to see who could possibly be like that. Well, he's probably rage picking right now as we speak.
Well, he I mean, that was way before the Keffels. He's always been like that.
Oh yeah. It's, you know, it's just that there are people like that, you know, that seem to fucking flip on a dime. But to me, it's just I don't like what else is there, right? Like, how sanitized does the internet have to become? You know, like
they literally want it. Like,
you can't watch what you want to watch anymore, or say what you want to say anymore. Like, everything is so fucking squeaky clean now. I used to be able to go on YouTube and fucking, you could enter the term nigger fight and you would get 400,000 fucking hits. But I can't do that anymore. So you type fight, you don't get any hits. Try looking up a road rage video, you don't get really any hits. It's all filtered bullshit content. And it's just really depressing. I like the videos, and the fucking outrageous shit's gone. And there's so few sites that provide that in any form or context. And yeah, if you guys go down at 4chan and fucking Ed and 8chan, well, not 8chan, but Cow and the sister site you were talking about, just all that shit's going to get swept away. and it's going to just be this corporate shit, this Mickey Mouse sanitized internet, where nobody can say what they want. I mean, everybody's something like the Fediverse, or use some kind of alternative that somebody hopefully sets up. I don't fucking know.
They want it so that there is no place where people can talk about certain issues candidly. That they don't. It's not just how sanitized they want it. They want it so that there is no place, and if there is a place that comes up, it gets pushed back down. Because I think they may not know it in like a direct, coordinated way, but if I'm ever able to dig in, there's an awareness that I will not stop with the Kiwi farms. Once I have something set up that works, I'm going to share it. If the people from like Mumsnet need hosting because they get banned in the UK, I will host them. I will find a way to make it work. I'll find a way to accept money from select few people who need special services, and I will create an umbrella for these sites. And they don't want that. They want it so that if you have specific opinions, they can only be shared in like shitty little holes that nobody can find.
Well, even the shitty little holes now are getting fucked with. Like, I think BitChute's a good example, right? BitChute pops up, people are uploading videos of all sorts on it, and then because of where they're hosted or whatever the exact situation they're dealing with, they've got government intervention fucking with them now on what can be up there and what can't be, and what has to be taken down, and who gets blocked, and what country can access it.
Yeah.
So like even the alternatives are getting get fucked.
Well,
even the shitty little holes get fucked.
Well, BitChute is hosted out of the UK, and that's their first mistake. What happened with them is that they realized when they started getting a lot of Nazi shit, they basically emailed the ADL and said, what do we do to stay online? And the ADL wrote them guidelines, and some of their strategy is not too stupid. I've thought about this myself, and it may be easier to have like geographed access to the site, but as a caveat, if I have things like the EU where EU access is limited, if I just keep the onion open, then people, I'll have a screen that says when you join from the .onion, please select your region, and you can just say, I'm from the US, and how would I know? It's just it's Scout's honor. But yeah, BitChute's done a lot of stuff to stop their growth, and it's hard to put a finger on what. I think the main issue that people have was the lack of streaming, and they didn't have a search feature that worked, whereas Odyssey has both. So Odyssey,
their search feature is kind of fucked, or it was at least for a while there. I mean, I did test out streaming on there, but I don't know who coded it, because somebody basically spammed the entire Bible in chat. The whole fucking thing. It just over and over again. So somebody was sending panic messages, Jim, fucking turn your chat off. But I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So that's where it's at right now. That's the whole saga. Is in truth, we haven't lost that much. We lost the .top domain that we weren't using anyways. Icenik from Iceland is for some reason checking my passport with the U.S. Embassy in Reykjavik or whatever the fuck, because they don't believe me. I don't know if they're trying to force me to like dox myself to them with like a new secret name that I have or what. But my shit's all legit. So we lost the .is domain as well, and we lost Cloudflare.
Why don't you fuck with them and send them a fake passport with a Nears picture and just say you're him and see how they react. see if they understand what you've done.
Because I lost my Google Voice number too, right? And I told you this, but I also complained to the FCC about it. I said that my phone number was illegally stolen from me by Google, and the FCC responded and said, we've submitted this to Google and they have to reply as to why they've done this in 30 days. So it's like, I'm going to fight for everything. I'm going to keep my .is domain. I'm going to get my fucking Google Voice number back, and I'm going to meet them on every one of these challenges. I'm going to litigate this in the most Jewish way possible, because everything that I do is completely legit. And if they disagree, they can point to the statute that says otherwise.
And you're gonna fund this fight with those patches.
I'm gonna fund the fight with a complicated network of proof of stake and proof of work cryptocurrencies and also patches.
And the patches. Remember miti.live?
Yes,
but not right now because Cloudflare is putting up how dangerous you are.
Miti.live like 2 weeks from now. You'll have like a week before they're all sold out.
Well, this has been entertaining. Talking about the Troon saga, the Troon Shine saga,
The
and a
death
little
of the
bit of
internet.
the death of the internet. It's always a fucking happy, fun topic, isn't it?
Yeah, if you find a way to laugh about it, it's still funny. it is. There was this great interconnected network of every computer in the entire world, and everyone, even people in Russia and China, Malaysia and Rwanda and Brazil, they could all get together and play Dota 2 and scream obscenities and racial slurs at each other, and it was a great fun time had by all. How did it die, Dad? Well, one day a bunch of mutilated dick snippers got together and got really offended that nobody would call them a she, so they petitioned to all the different agencies in the world in mass until they revoked services and the internet fractured down the middle.
And now it's gone forever.
Now it's gone forever. Now we communicate by shortwave radio again.
Yep, and we have to buy porn at the gas station in magazine form. It's really a fucking dark time, son. It's
Yes.
really a dark time.
The trannies took over the post office, and now when you import your hentai from Japan, you have to pay like a 200% tax that goes directly to the HRT fund from social services.
They renamed it the post op.
Oh
office,
no!
Yeah. You need a proof of packaging received. You have to show them your genitals. It's really an embarrassing fucking situation, son.
Okay, in the name of grifting, I have super chats. It is now 1 a.m. I have to bash through them. Do you want to stick around?
No, I'll jump while you do your grifting. So you can get to your chats. Besides, I got to go eat dinner. I forgot the time zone difference, so I thought, 3 in the afternoon would be great. I forgot you're halfway around the world. When you grift, don't forget to show your patches. I'm telling you, hat funding is amazing, and patch funding is probably amazing too.
Do the hats actually do that well? Are you being serious?
Hats have done fantastic. I mean, they're made by little Chinese girls in some factory halfway across the world. So I can't really speak to the best of quality, but I'm not making them. I'm just selling them. But no, the hats. People like the hats. I don't. Hats do well. Mugs do well. Maybe you could make a Troonshine mug and sell it to people. I'm sure people would love that.
See, my issue is not like selling them. It's like I have to do the logistics. I can't have a storefront. I have to do everything myself.
Yeah, you're stuck with that like drop shipping retail arbitrage shit. So
Yeah,
it's a
3PL.
fucking
Yeah,
clusterfuck headache. Yeah. All right, man. Well, take it easy. Thanks for having me on as a guest. Fuck Keffels. Fuck Ethan Ralph. Fuck Nick Bate. Why not? He's in prison. He'll never hear it, but fuck him anyway. Fuck Amos Yee. And I'm probably gonna go watch a fat girl get beaten by an Egyptian now. Chantal, how do you spell it?
Chantal. And Nadir's name is spelled Nadir. And I think if you just go to YouTube and type, here's what you want to do if you want to see the beating footage. Just type in Nadir Didi, Didi hits Didi. I think you should find some videos where he does the bitcha don't scare, bitcha don't scare.
I just want the audio clip. I want to hear the voice. It sounds so much like "How Can You Slap?" So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go check out. I'm gonna watch an Egyptian guy beat an obese woman. Oh, I love the internet as long as it lasts. See, that's the fun kind of stuff you can go check out. But take it easy. I hope everything works out for you. And yeah, I'm gonna go watch some fatties get hit.
Yep. Good talking to you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right, all of you who are just here for Jim. That is the end. Thank you, Jim, for joining me. Thank you all for joining me. I'm now going to honor my blood tithe to the merchants who have tipped during the stream. I apologize if any of them are directed to Jim. He did not want to stick around for him, so yeah, you'll just have to deal with me instead. All right, let me actually. For this, I put my screen into grift mode. This is what grift mode looks like, and I will try to knock through these as quickly as possible so that I can sleep as quickly as possible. I, Mr. Moon, for free for 25 says, am an ADL respecter and love fat chicks. Ethan Ralph is my best friend and will thumb any anus to prove my devotion to the gun. Step aside, Chantal. You've been replaced. Grr, B-jams, and shit. Heart emoji. Thank you, I, Mr. Moon, for free. Not Gaytard Beta Bottom quartering for 5 says nothing at all. Thank you. Dingus McBingus for 5 says, Godspeed, Josh. Also, Space Station 13 server ever coming back? If not, why? It was the best server I've ever played on. The Space Station 13 server was more work to manage and moderate than the Kiwi Farms was. It's a special kind of autism I don't have the time or energy or money to dedicate to. I apologize. It was a great time while it lasted, though. I have fond memories of Space Station 13, and it was the best server that was around. Full Test for 10 says, you listened to Jesse Signal podcast about the farm. He was pretty fair. I heard some of it. I mean, he seems like he's been fair the entire time. It's interesting. I don't know what his angle is or what his audience is, but I'm glad that someone is eating the shit required to defend the Kiwi farms in incapacity. Porky Nig for 1488 says, B-hams, Bibble, I'm scared. This front hole smells like my poo thumb. B-hams. Thank you, Porky Nig. Hexleet. I don't know how to pronounce. I guess Hexleet will work. Hexleet for 10 says, obligatory Destiny clip sound on. Oh, is this the one about how his wife is how he's a cool fucking guy, and that's why he trusts his wife to fuck other women or other men?
I'm in a poly relationship.
Yeah, that's
the reason why I'm in a poly relationship is because I don't give a fuck if my girlfriend goes and fucks another guy, because I know she's coming back to me at the end of the night. Because we love each other. Because I'm a cool fucking person. I know that. If I'm not gonna gatekeep the fuck out of who my girlfriend fucks, do you think I'm gonna chase you around? But like,
it's such a weak state. It's so embarrassing. I've heard this 1,000 times, but I still get secondhand embarrassment. Trixie is best pony for 30 says, anime is cancer. Well, that's strong words coming from MLP. I will admit I was expecting a lot more like weird anime jokes, and I wouldn't even know how to play along with it because I don't know anything about anime. The last anime I watched was Lane, and before that it was Watamote, and then before that it was like 2008 and I watched Lucky Star. So my experience here is very limited. I remember Shin-Chan on TV. That's my extent with the anime shit. By the way, for one, says, I literally, figuratively, allegedly hate Josh Moon. Well, thank you. I guess, for $1. By the way. Barack Hussein Obama for 5 says, this is for Jim. Say milk 6 times fast and then answer me this. What mature cows drink? Milk, 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 and mature cows drink water, because this was done to me before on Nick Arcada's stream, and I know what the fuck is happening here, motherfucker. Barack Hussein Obama. BFF Forever for 5 says, now that you are best friends, Josh can share his magical healing necklace with Jim. I'm sure he can spare a finger or two. He has to do some dark. He has to get pretty high on the Masonic order to get access to the finger necklace. Lucas's gaping maw for 10 says absolutely nothing, which is very contrary to Lucas's actual gaping maw, which never fucking closes. Sirius McNegative for 10 says, Jersh, give Jim the tip so he doesn't have to sell another hat. So is Jim stealing content from farms for eFame, or is Jersh getting content from the hog wrinkling? I never had issue with Jim like taking stuff from the forum. I just wanted the shout out. Is all for the site. Give credit where credit was due, and he did. So, I apologize if I ever sounded salty about that. I'm not. Ice Mexican for 20 says, because I know a lot of people do use the content on the forum as a primary source of information, and they don't say shit because they have to make their squeaky clean YouTube channels advertiser friendly, and they can't give credit where it belongs to the people who actually found that shit for them, and they make a ton of fucking money from doing it. That I am bitter about. Ice Mexican for 20 says, gentlemen, the people want to know ass or titties, and an unrelated question, hot dog or hamburgers. I like hamburgers way more than hot dogs. And I like both in a balance. You can't have like some super bottom heavy girl with like no boobs, or like all boobs and no butt. It has to be like a proper hip to waist ratio. Ruggy for 5 says, Shrinkshide comes in a little glass vial, a little glass vial, a little glass vial, and the little glass vial goes into the gun like a battery, and the Zydrate gun goes somewhere against your anatomy. I do know that song. Professional Retard for 5 says, very happy to see 2 of my favorite niche internet celebs on one stream. I'm glad you enjoyed. Hopefully it was everything that you paid $5 for. Anonymous for 35 says, it's always good to see my favorite people brought together, even when it's about, or even if it's because of some attention whoring catboy ranchers. Hashtag he will not bite us. Hashtag you'll never be a woman. Yeah, it's been a long time in the making. I'm glad that Jim feels my little website's worth preserving. Not a federal agent for 75 says, as someone who has always lurked but now wants in on the action, is there a way to get an invite code for 75? Oh my god. Okay. Actually, I can't give you an invite code because the email server doesn't work and it can't dispatch your registration code. I'll find a clever way to get invitation codes out to people. Don't you worry. Cozy Farms for $2 says, hey boss, please tell Jim we love him. Also, I mean, another one of those things for you. I hope you don't mind. I hope you like it. It's a hashtag to Telegram. Oh. jeez, that's very loud. It's a picture of a kitten saying Joshua Nolman walking up to the UN podium to give a speech after putting Keffels behind bars. A very cute cat. He's doing like a proper strut too. Sorry that's not on stream. Just take my word, it's very cute. Sips for 5 says, I appreciate your commitment to internet, lowercase I internet freedom. Good to see you streaming with Jim. Can't believe how fucking corpo the lowercase I internet has become this last decade. Very centralized, very corpo, very depressing. If, like I said, if people had a way to give money to each other, that the payment gateways, the very centralized non-government agencies that they are, could not regulate, you would see a boon of creativity and freedom that you would not think is possible today. Internet friend for 5 says, hey Josh and Jim, sorry that your internet son Ralph cannot be corn sacrifice aborted due to the last Supreme Court ruling. Maybe his new waifu Queen Kafal's Shrinshine will serve him better. Ralph tuning out would be the next big funny thing that he could do. That would be fucking hysterical. I co-sign that. Though then again, I don't know. It's nice to have someone who's not a tranny to laugh at. Because right now they're hogging up all the fame, depriving the honest, hardworking locals like Ethan and Ralph of their attention. Trapo for 5 says, real name Joshua Kuhn. Also, thanks for keeping the tranny hate site up. You're welcome, Trapo. I'm glad you're enjoying. So it is up. It is kind of jank right now. I'll fix those issues eventually. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'll figure it out. The Hanch for 70 says, Jersh, my girlfriend and I are going to California for a couple days. How do I remain base and uncorrupted in the modern Sodom and Gomorrah? You can't. Every second that you spend in California, it drains you, based and red-pilled. I don't know. Maybe blast, kill all the gays. Can't bump this at a red light. That'd work. You'd probably get arrested though in California for hate crimes. The Hatch again for 50 says the Justice League versus the Legion of Troon. Legion of Troon. We called the old one, the Vordrak one, the Legion of Doom. Yeah. I'm very thankful for my friends, my internet friends that are helping me out through this. Not Gaytard Beta Bottom Quartering for 5 says nothing again. Thank you, not Gaytard Beta Bottom Quartering. Polyfrog for 5 says, Josh, I'm pretty sure Keffels fled Canada because the cops found CP on their computer. Ireland is a safe haven for troons and they don't extradite to Canada or the UK. That's why Keffels fled there. That would be, I mean, that's an interesting theory. I've heard it before. If Keffels got arrested for something on his hard drive, if and when he gets back to Canada, that would be funny. I think that is the funniest possible outcome ever. Like, in the world of all possibilities, Keffels having something on his computer that actually got him arrested would be hysterical. I would never stop laughing. Hit 2 for $1.25 says trans kids are like vegan cats. We all know who's really making the decisions there. No argument for sure. They're getting groomed by their it's especially sad when it's their mom who's just like a fucking Munchausen's by proxy, histrionic cunt doing it. Anime for 5 says this is like when Sasuke and Naruto fought Kaguya, except Sasuke is a dying boomer, Naruto is a fat homo, and Kaguya is a guy in a dress. Yeah, I agree. And what's funny is I bet you I pronounced all those names right, and people are going to get really sussy baka about that shit. Dandy for 5 says, hi, did you see Richard Jordan was streaming earlier while wearing a wig? Pretty sure Lucas Roberts has turned wings over to the Troon side. No, Jordan, don't do it. You got so much to live for, I think. Don't churn out. We've got too many already. Icewall Oakham for 25 says, just want you both to read my username out loud. Thanks, fam, for real, no cap. On God, this stream slaps. Thank you. Sorry that Jim can't do it, but thank you, Icewall Oakham. Oh, I see. Oh, very clever. Hit her 2 for $1.25 says, on the topic of via ham radios, AX25 is exactly that. Can't go faster than 9600 BPS, though, so Kiwi Farms would have to become text-only BBS. Huh. That's fascinating. 9600 bits per second. So 8 kilobytes? That's not much. Good luck with that's slower than dial-up, buddy. That's a bit fucked. Anonymous for 25 says, wow, my 2 favorite streamers together truly didn't have that on my 2020 bingo card. I'm glad you're still putting up the fight and making people seethe. Hey, Gunt and Lucas, you guys are both neighbors. I'm not feeling that risky. I think I've said it before. I don't know. I don't like to say it from super chats. Yeah, I have to. the thing is, when I say it, I have to mean it. I have to really mean it. I'll say it when I mean it. Not before. And Lucas wishes he was black. Haram, so does Ralph. Haram Burger for 2 says, Kepfel's aligns with youthful idiots like Brianna Wu and Bex Gerber to hunt transphobe. I align with guys like Metokur because he makes videos mocking fat grifters like Zoe Quinn. Where's the game Chelsea? Oh, that shit's never coming out. When's the fucking feminist frequency books coming out? That shit is never happening. The abominable Homeman for 5 says, for those about to sneed, we salute you. Thank you, man. Anonymous for 5 says, hey Josh, remember when Josh went on Ethan Ralph's stream and said Jim basically hates you? LOL. I still don't know what Jim's opinions of me are. I didn't really ask. He could hate me. Who knows? A lot of people hate me. Anonymous for 50 says, take my money and keep up the good work exposing those tranny predators. Thank you very much, Anonymous, for $50. King Cobra J, that's like one of my servers that are a monthly server bill, in case you're wondering. King Cobra JFS for 3 says, can you take the shekel without eating the goy slop? Also, what are your thoughts on Urbit? URBIT. I've heard that before. It's like a decentralized server thing. I have not looked into it. I've heard of it before though. I mean, decentralized anything is worth exploring and promoting. Though from what I understand, it's just like decentralized computing power, so I don't know how that works in terms of like an internet service. TF for 5 says, you're the only 2 retards I would trust with 2. Sorry, I am swallowing air at this point. TF for 5 says, you're the only 2 retards I would trust to retard proof the lowercase I internet. Thanks for a great show, guys. Appreciate them. Trying my best to retard proof it, I guess. I'm kind of like doing the opposite. I'm like retard exacerbating the internet. It or 2 for $1.25 says, archive everything so that when the internet, the proper case I internet becomes splinternet, you'll have a lifetime. Splinternet is such a good term to coin. The splinternet. I like that. That's good shit. You'll still have a lifetime's worth of entertaining shit. Yes, there are people who are like becoming like proper schizos in terms of like archiving terabytes of shit now, like entire channels and stuff. Terry A. Davis for 5 says, the routers went wrong when you made them for neighbors. That's when it went wrong. It's like how many people are like, ugh, it's a command line. Fuck you, man. White people don't mind it, okay? I am a neighbor when it comes to shit like this. I need a UI. Just give me a fucking thing to drag and drop with. The love of God, don't make me type out everything, especially in networking. It's such a mess. I need to see the topology. It helps a lot. Spasticus Autisticus, for 1, says, Kiwi Farms.Kiwi takes you to the DIY HRT site. You need to buy Farms.Kiwi. Farms.Kiwi was never available. .Kiwi is owned by a registrar in New Zealand. We would lose it instantly if we had it. They bought up a lot of ones, but they bought up shit like KiwiFarms.de, KiwiFarms.fr, KiwiFarms.co.uk. Like, I would never put anything in those countries to begin with. You gotta buy shit like KiwiFarms. African Republic or some shit. A humble farmer for 5 says nothing. Thank you, friend. Kiwi Cow for 5 says, how long before Patch Designer gets doxxed and hunted by troons? Probably never, because he's doing it for crypto and shipping it anonymously. Glep for 2 says, my fave internet daddies enjoy this pick. Oh, dude. Aw. Well, I like this. This wasn't what I was expecting at all. I'll throw this up. I'll put this up on the fridge. Look, this is fine, I say. I'm getting glared at by a troon with a pigeon on his head. My pizza is down there getting eaten by kiwis. I have a box of silver coins. This is, my computer has hamsters in it. This is all very accurate to life. And then there's Jim back there. He's holding on to dear life to an IV line. And there's Ralph. And then there's Piss Bear. How wholesome. Truly, we are the Library of Alexandria in terms of art and creativity. Ludwig for 20 says, hey, Jim and Jersh, big fan. Made a slobber VTuber model in Bloodborne. Oh, this is Ludwig World Order. I didn't know you made the VTuber model. And the Perry Caravellovic. Big ups and sorry for ignoring you that one time. Yeah. This guy posted something and talked to staff that made me really indignant, and I snapped at him. And he was like, "Oh, I'm the guy that did the Ludwig video that you said was your favorite Dark Side Phil video." And I felt kind of bad that I was such an asshole to him. Thank you for the 20 though. And sorry. Hits over to for $1.25 says, "I think we should go a little easier on Ralph. Laughter is the best medicine. He's been trying his hardest this year to be his soul, keep his soul remaining daddy alive." It's true. Jim. I mean, hopefully he has more to wake up for than to laugh at Ethan and Ralph, but I'm sure that helps. It's one of those things that I look forward to. Like, I wonder what Ralph has fucked up this week. Nick Akado's Butthole for 15 says, "Loving the stream, my 2 internet daddies in one place. Ooh, but no, seriously, I have nothing but respect for you, Josh, for going to the ends of there so we can shit posts about gross weirdos." I have received many emails of support like this from many people throughout the last few weeks. So many that I can't reply to them. So if you sent me something and I didn't reply, I apologize. But I literally get so many emails now that I can't keep up. I'm like Yandere Dev. But I do appreciate all the kind sentiments and encouraging words that have been sent. Icole for $20 says, "Josh, your favorite piss bear priest sends you $20 in Russian value, so I can suggest to have true and honest fan badge so Kiwi Farms will seethe and I will be able to smug post more. Take care, man." I can't mix the money between my streams and my Kiwi Farms. I apologize. Learn how to do crypto. You're in Russia. You should know how to do crypto by now. You got fucking sanctioned by the entire world. Figure out crypto. It's not banned yet, unless you're like in government. In which case, find me a server that I can host on. Neil Holstein for 10 says, "This is like when Yang Winley and Reinhard von Mussel from The Legend of the Galactic Heroes met. Soy face." I have also, not only am I not like into anime, I don't know anything about Marvel movies. And I'm very thankful for this. I'm glad that you have soy faced over this wonderful stream, though. Metokur Fimbot for 5 says, "Can we agree that Keffel's lore is a little too close to Rico to be a coincidence?" Is that a anime? I searched Rico Mortal Kombat wiki. Rico is a character in Mortal Kombat. He made his debut in Mortal Kombat 4. This guy looks like a man. Did this guy's dick get cut off? I'm gonna search for castration. He's not castrated, so I can only imagine how close their arcs actually are. I apologize. Maybe Jim would know more. Anonymous for 2 says, "Josh, do I need crypto to buy the patch merch?" No, you do not. Hopefully. Knock on wood. Anonymous for 10 says, "It's disgusting how many things go unnoticed on Twitter whenever lolly trends these freaks show up and promote. They CP torture grape fantasies, like the Sugar Sucka page with sick drawings." And I know people get mad at me for this, but the lolicon is a thing imbibed by pedophiles, and it took me a while to come to grips with that, but it's true. And if you're, like, I understand the libertarian approach, but they're trouble. They're trouble. Anonymous for 5 says, "How much for you two to sing a Just an RPG song as outro?" Much more than $5. I have a song picked out actually. It's another hit by MC Jarbo that came out today. Large Child for 2 says, "I'm gonna burn this stream on DVDs and place them around my city. Also, when is the Impossible Whopper Gumroad video happening?" I don't know. This week, I guess. I'll get around to it. I did promise that. Spasticus Autistic, and good luck with your DVD burning. Don't get arrested for hate speech. Spasticus Autisticus for 5 says, "Have a look at this article and the short video on it," and then a link to BBC Pigeon. So I'm assuming that this is going to be some gobbledygook. Butt lift surgery. Why I want come out my fake bum bum. I don't think anyone actually reads this shit. One blogger from Norway and TV peasant Sophie Elise, day 20 years old when she decides she want big bum bum. Sophie described herself as woman weigh 10 and small, but she been just want do small lift that area of her body. Influencers everywhere, and everywhere is spelled EVRIWIA, everywhere. From her Instagram, Bende promote places and doctors when they bum bum enlargement and BBL. Brazilian butt lift. Okay, here. I'll listen to this for like 30 seconds.
Men, they too they follow Bombo. You don't do Bombo, and so they go they follow you like say what's happen. Who not know me before say I no get sheep? If I can't hide them before because say I no do na, she na go still cost me say I do.
Nigeria, 600 million of those people walking around. You know that? Anonymous for 10 says, what do you think of Lucas's appearance on H3H3? I didn't watch it. I don't pay any attention to him or what he has to say. True facts, like when I say I don't pay attention to somebody, I really don't. I don't give a fuck. I deal with what happens and I don't pay attention to what people are saying. Ropana for 11. Hi Josh, I really enjoyed your collab with Jim this weekend. I hope that .net comes back up soon. Thank you for your hard work behind the scenes. Long live the forums and have a great weekend. Republic of Korea flag. Thank you, Ropana. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. I'm glad it lived up to people's expectations. Polyfrog for 10 says, Josh, can you end the stream with this Troon song? Is this the one that I'm thinking of? No, this is like an anime thing. Oh, this is Ginger Male Market Failure by Amy. That's a really good song. Ginger Male Market Failure by Amy. That's a trans song that's pretty funny. I'll play like 6 seconds of it. It's pretty good. I like the other version better though, so that's a contentious opinion. Okay. Shawas for 10 says, God bless y'all. Thank you, Shawas. Senior Lobo for 5 says, hello, Mr. Knoll. Who is Ethan Klein's wife, and does she care about Palestinian children? Great question. I'll actually remind people again, because I promised that I would plug this, and I did at the beginning of the video, but I'll plug it again. The animations from the start of the stream are being done by Sven Stoffels at svenstoffels.com. Also, the author of... Let me see if I can find... His YouTube is at the bottom of this... Oh, jeez. I really fucked this up. Firefox, right? Is this not going to work? Oh. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, that works. SvenStoffels.com, and then he made a wonderful video, which I would like to share with you all, about Hila Klein, who is the wife of Ethan Klein, who Keffels did a podcast with recently. But it's in green mode. It's in shekel mode. Hila's gone crazy for the shekels. SvenStoffels.com. He really asked me to plug his thing because he did the animations for basically no money. Senior or Kiryuma for 20 says, nice show. Thank you very much, Kiryuma. Rollpana for 5 says, hi Josh, you've owned and operated Kiwi forums for a long time. Is there any advice you can give to anyone who wants to start their own forum? Thank you. Never make, okay, this is the, in general purpose, like forum advice, don't make moderators out of your friends, and don't make moderators out of people who make content. Make moderators out of people who are like aloof, interested in promoting the site, interesting in like they have an interest in the community growing, but they're not like super invested into producing things themselves. Because when people are moderators, they get stressed out. And you don't want to stress out people who are generating the content that your site needs to survive. So don't make those people mods, and don't make people mods that are like sycophants. If someone's sucking your ass, you don't want that person to be like in a position of influence around you, because it will distort your judgment. You want people who are like critical and even-handed and not afraid to object to you. Colco for 5 says, would love to donate more, but your stream right now is at the end of my shift on Friday, but you always make that day better. Also, does the DDoSing mean my email sent to the SH email is lost forever? No, I still get emails to that, but you can email me at jcmoon@pm.me as well. Winston Fujimori for 5 says, I want you to know, Josh, and that Ghost Politics, the Capitalist Army, and the Anime Right have your support. Also, Ghost gave you a shout out a few shows ago. He likes you. Also, Ghost likes anime, by the way. Ghost did invite me onto his podcast. Maybe if I'm doing a media blitz, I'll hit him back, because I owe him. A girl that I used to know used to watch Ghost Politics with me. That was probably my first locale in terms of like weirdos that I like, the radio graffiti stuff. That was hours of entertainment. I remember watching that on Gmod Theater and like throwing popcorn at the screen years and years ago. Metokur Fembot adds $1 to provide context to Rico's Trap Harem. Rico, oh, this is the R9K grooming Discord. I know this. There's a Know Your Meme page on Rico's Trap Harem, and it's a really weird thing from a long time ago that happened on 4chan where all the incels were like being groomed into taking HRT because some fucking weirdo was trying to get people to do it. And Gonka, this will be the last one, so don't tip anymore. Gonka for 20 says, thanks for the stream. Go get some KFC on me. I think I will. Thank you. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you found this entertaining or enlightening, educational, not depressing. Don't get depressed. Don't ever succumb to depression, chat. You must always find reason to prevail because they want you demoralized. Keffels wants you to be sad. It makes him happy when you're sad, so always be happy. Always deal with problems logically, with a cool temper. Don't get angry, especially about things you can't control. And that's it. I will see you guys on Friday. If you are a regular watcher, I do my streams every Friday at 6 p.m. EU time, noon Eastern time. Meg for 5 says, great stream, Josh. Also, thanks for all the hard work on the farms. Thank you very much. That's the last one. Please don't say anymore. God. Okay, never mind. Sorry. I yelled for no reason. That's it. T.me/Matty on air. MATI on air is the only channel that I have up right now, or just subscribe to whatever the fuck. You know what to do. All right. I will see you. This is a new song by Jabba the Hutt. It's a rap that he's done. That's his own voice. It's not like a character, but it's kind of relevant. So I'll play it out with that. Thanks. Bye.
Is about as treacherous as Dennis the Menaces. How we let these fucking peasants go and peddle their fetishes on our little kids. If we manage to settle this, it won't be on no internet where they ban us and banish us. The truth ministers decide when you get to speak and who listens. And if you don't go to their beat, buddy, then you finished, vanished, flipping them digits. I do my due diligence, but I need 22 minutes just to get my true feelings to the pencil and the pad. During any invasion, our ancestors attacked. How the fuck is it all we can do is sit there and clap and watch these motherfuckers that's feeding our kids all this crap, fixing to fix up a mix of HRT in the bath? How the fuck you defending what's patently an attack? Tricking them, picking at children till the victim is had. You think 10 or 11-year-olds even know how to act? Packaging up a tragic act and you're passing it back. R.I.P. to anyone who couldn't handle the flack. And all this stalking and doxing, man, you bitches is whack. But if you swatting, then you need a fucking shiv in your back. But let's not try to act like that's only where it's at, and that's your only motive, and you got no reason to blank. Call it the internet. So let me be frank, denial of service is denial of the pictures attached. I got a right to have views, I have a right to defend. It's my right to defend against bitch ass niggas. Draw a line in the sand and bring life to the pen, cause we gon' fight to the end with you bitch ass niggas. And if you tell us we're not allowed to get in, then you can ban us again like some bitch ass niggas. Cause when I pray I look around me for strength, but nowadays I see nothing but bitch ass niggas. I'm a nemesis you don't really wanna go head to head against. Going out of my mind, been a while up on my medicine. You stand for trans rights, do it with etiquette. You invented some lies, and I don't make you no Edison. And don't underestimate the love of a dad when you're in bed. Post up and he's there holding your hand. You got your ass Botox. Open the trench, you got yourself a post box. Now the mail can fit in. I'm the dad trying to keep his kids away from the sin. You in my shop and you didn't use a lot to get in. Go and suck a cock. You and your journalist friends is trying to get this wick lit and make it burn at both ends. Respect should be earned, it ain't just to be given. You don't respect my work, I don't respect you as women. And I ain't mad at you, no, but with the attitude rude, why should I pick a pronoun that matches you, dude? And the devil's one, looks like careful's one. I drop kick that motherfucker in my Air Force One. That ain't no way to be treating a woman careful, son. I'm looking around this bitch like, yo, show me where there's one. We're talking severed appendages, mystic percentages that you can't even mention. It's like the shit is contagious. And I'm sorry you don't see it, but the dude's an embarrassment. And his destiny is just to get sued for damages. I got a right to have views, I have a right to defend. It's my right to defend against bitch ass niggas. Draw a line in the sand and bring life to the pen, cause we gon' fight to the end with you bitch ass niggas. And if you tell us we're not allowed to get in, then you can ban us again like some bitch ass niggas. Cause when I pray I look around me for strength, but nowadays I see nothing but bitch ass niggas. I got a right to have views, I have a right to defend. It's my right to defend against bitch ass niggas. Draw a line in the sand and bring life to the pen, cause we gon' fight to the end with you bitch ass niggas. And if you tell us we're not allowed to get in, then you can ban us again like some bitch ass niggas. Cause when I pray I look around me for strength, but nowadays I see nothing but bitch ass niggas. Nothing but fucking bitches. Take back what's yours.